Oh, hey, how you doing, man? Hey, I've been cleaning stuff, and
hey, Abramo.
yeah, no, it looks really good. You want to come like check it out? I'm trying to like go home early today, but if that's not a thing, then I'll stay. It's fine. I don't have nothing to do really.
No, that's fine. I trust you. I'm sure everything looks great. You can take off early. It's fine, man.
Well, now I don't want to.
Well, I mean, you do you. I'm not really up right now.
Hey, I was just gonna. Are you feeling okay, man?
No, I'm really not, man. I'm feeling pretty distraught this week.
Oh, well, you know what I do when I'm down? I take a lot of mushrooms in the bathroom. Do you want to go in the bathroom and do mushrooms with me?
I'm actually starting to get a little concerned that you're trying to like bring me to the bathroom, Abramo. I thought you were scared of the bathroom.
Well, no, we'll go in like the other bathroom.
Like the other stall? Because there's a...
Yeah, like there's like 5 different bathrooms in there.
Well, yeah, but I thought you were scared of... Yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't take mushrooms before we go on.
Oh, well, yeah,
I appreciate it.
I mean, that makes sense. Well, the other thing I do is I just go and I take a walk. You want to like take a walk with me?
Well, the show's about to start, but I'll let... That actually does sound pretty good, man. I think I could probably use a walk.
All right. Well, let's go.
Let's do that after the show.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that afterwards. So I'll stay here, and it'll be good. But hey, man, if you're feeling down, just listen, man. You're doing the best you can, okay? And that's all you got to do. Just keep doing the best that you can, and maybe take some mushrooms every now and then, okay? Take your shoes off and then, go swimming with your clothes on. Sometimes that's fun. Sometimes you get stuff in your pockets that you didn't have before when you do that. And then you look in them, you're like, oh, look at this. That's nice. So, just remember that,
You know what, man? That actually helps a lot more than you think it probably does.
Well,
thanks, Abramo.
That's good, When things get you down, you just gotta, keep doing you, That's what I do. Yeah.
Okay, man. I think I'm ready to fucking do this.
All right. Okay, well, I'm gonna go look at like a wall for a while. Okay. I'll talk to you later after the show, okay?
Sounds good, man.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Live from beautiful downtown Bastrop, it's time for the Stage Select. Starring Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
What could this possibly be? Seems a lot like a podcast. Wonder what specifically. Talking about video games. With your hosts, you're in good hands. Not more to say. Now we'll jump right in. So expect the unexpected and more. Now we'll get grooving. Never know who's gonna walk through the door. There just might be some strategy in this chest. Having fun with a special guest. Time for Stage Select.
With special guest
Addie XD.
And here are your hosts, Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
Welcome, one and all, to the Stage Select. I'm Julian Titus.
I'm Justin Ham. Hi. I have something. Hold on. Hold on. Let me look at it. It's fine. Everybody, everything's going fine. Julian, I compare myself to a kiss from a rose on the gray.
Do you now?
Yeah. I don't know if you knew that about me, but I do.
No, I think that's good.
Yeah, I think it's good too. I don't know what it means, but here we are.
Sounds like something that would really get into Heidi Klum's pants pretty easily.
I mean, possibly.
No, I mean, definitely. Like, it's a historical fact.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, now that your rose is in bloom, the light hits the gloom on the gray. So, that's the whole thing. What are you going to do?
Well, what I'm going to do is introduce our wonderful special guest. Joining us for the first time, we have Addie.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I already really enjoy the vibe, and I like the voice. There aren't enough women on video game podcasts, and I'm doing my best to try to have more women on this video game podcast. So thank you for being here.
That's real. I appreciate that also, because I agree. I used to do a video game podcast with my ex many years ago, and it was a lot of them talking about things and me sitting there and not talking about anything.
Well, that's no
the other
good.
thing. That's the other thing that I have found when there are women on video game podcasts is that then the other guys on said video game podcast tend to just talk over said woman. So I'm going to do my best. Well, I think we're pretty good about not talking over our guests anyway, but I'm going to try extra hard not to do that tonight. But for listeners who are not aware of, I mean, they've heard you in I think we brought you up in just like kind of Patreon thanks, but you and I have been Twitter mutuals for like a long ass time, like well over 10 years. I think I found you through friend of the show, John Golson. Like, I think he must have tweeted some of your stuff, and I was like, oh, she seems cool. And so I followed you followed me back. And then I saw that you had done podcasting, and I was like, hey, would you like to be on my show, Nerds Without Pants? And then like that didn't quite go anywhere. And then you kind of left Twitter for like a really long time.
I
And
don't
then I would
blame
see you pop up occasionally with like Instagram posts, but I don't use Instagram. So I was like, okay, that's whatever. Like I couldn't, I was like, well, she's still around. And then you popped up again not too long ago and you're like, hey, I have an OnlyFans now, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'll support like a mute or, that's like that I've known for a long time. And so then I was like, light bulb, now you've got something to promote. Would you like to come on to my new show?
There you go.
And it took a little bit, and like you're like, do you have like a sample of the show? And I said, yeah, sure, here you go. And I thought, okay, she'll check out like about half an hour of the show and then decide if it sounds okay or not. And then you kind of low key became like a super fan.
Yeah.
Which I did not expect. Whenever I'm reaching out to people, I'm like, yeah, here's what the show sounds like. And I'm always thinking like, yeah, they're going to listen to it for like 10 minutes. And then they'll be like, okay, yeah, that, that's fine. Like I can decide if I'm going to, these guys don't seem like they're losers or weird or whatever.
I don't know about that first part. But
or the second part, really.
Yeah.
But no, it's funny because like Weston, who was a guest, he listens to the show when he can. James from Retrofits, I don't think he listens to every episode, but he does listen to the show. Like he's listened to more than one episode. I'm like, okay, like I'm actually like feeling pretty good about the guest to listener like pipeline here.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I at first I was like, I need to hear a couple of samples basically just to like get the vibe, because I'm a very anxious person, just by nature. And so I was just like, all right, I'm the kind of person who's like, I need to know as much information as possible going into a situation in order to feel like maximum comfort. So I was just like, all right, let me just like give it a listen and figure it out. And then I just kept listening.
Oh.
And my partner 60 started listening, and then we both started listening like to all of the whole backlog, and it's just been a true hyperfixation at this point. So.
All right.
No, that's one of the greatest compliments that we could have. So it warms my heart.
It's a great show. I mean, we're constantly talking about like the bits that we find really funny and just enjoy the conversation and the vibe. It's very cool.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've said it. I think on I don't know if it's actually in the main feed or I think it's in a Patreon exclusive episode. But like, I really have loved the last. I think right around like episode 28. I think is where like something. It felt like a switch flipped, and like all of a sudden, like the show kind of like solidified like what I wanted it or kind of what I had envisioned like when Justin pitched it to me last year. And then since then it feels like every episode has just been like this kind of like really awesome, like flowing conversation, like from piece to piece where, I mean, Justin and I have been podcasting together since like 2019, but like there was something about like just the last like few months where it's just been like, oh, I don't know what happened, but we're just like kind of working on a different level than we did before. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying it, and I'm really proud of it. And I'm hoping that more people eventually find their way to this dumb show.
Mm-hmm.
But Addie, obviously, you're a new guest. Well, you know what? Let me turn things over to my co-host.
What?
Justin, I felt bad when Rob was on because
no, it was okay.
We got really far into the show.
No. I was going to let you do your thing, and I'll come.
No.
All right. Okay.
Trial by fire. Let's go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna rip the Band-Aid off, I guess. I really was like, no, let them get comfortable, and then we'll do the whole thing. But Julian, this is on him. Okay, Addie. I just want you to know that.
All
right. All right, so
Addie will remember that.
We do, yeah.
Just like popped up on the screen.
Yeah, it's a telltale game on this podcast, apparently. All right, well, it's time. It's time, Addie, for me to ask you 5 questions that I thought up about a half hour before the show. And I used to not have a sound bit, and I said I wasn't going to play any of this anymore, but this is just too good, so I'm going to do it every time now. This is the one.
Tell us how you do.
It's too good. I can't not play it. All right.
That weird 60s Joker laugh at the very end like really puts it over the top.
It's great because it's taken from like isolated lyrics. So there's supposed to be stuff in the background happening.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. So it just sounds extra weird and creepy, and I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Addie. Question number 1. I was seriously scrambling here. So what is a good question to ask someone about rugs?
Yeah.
I think, well, you could go for the more conventional option and talk about like color palette maybe or pattern.
Right.
But honestly, my first thought is to ask people if they were into like rug cleaning videos.
Okay. All right.
Because I had a phase.
I almost fell down that rabbit hole one night. It like somehow like the pimple popping to rug cleaning
pipeline.
I can see it.
Yeah, sometimes you just end up there, and I was like, you know what? That was a pretty fun rug cleaning video, but I think I'm good there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cleaning rugs.
Yeah.
Do you use like a pressure washer for that, or?
I think that there's multiple tools. So sometimes like they do use pressure washers, but then they also have like the rotating spinny like foam brush situation.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like a combination, but it's a very satisfying experience.
Okay.
Yeah. The one that I saw, the rug was like damn near black, and then it was white by the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how filthy it was and how clean they got it.
Okay. Duly noted.
Yeah.
Duly noted. You heard it here first. All right. Question number 2. In the book Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, do they ever tell you what the chicken soup is?
No.
Oh, wow.
I can confirm that because I actually read at least one of those books. I know they had a billion of them. But
I always just assumed it was like poetry, maybe, but they don't ever just outright state it. They're like, "This is it. This is the." I guess it would give the book away, right? Like you can't just do that. Yeah,
it's like The Secret. You have to buy it.
It's one of those things. I think they're just trying to like obviously there's multiple versions of that book, and so they want to just keep you. They just want to keep you buying it, right? Because you're always just trying to get to the point where you're gonna actually figure out what the chicken soup recipe is, but they just never tell you. No, that's how they get you. Honestly,
that's kind of bullshit.
And you think you're done at the like every time, but then there's that last page with each book, and you're like, God damn it!
Yeah.
Well, buying the next one.
Do they still make those? I don't actually know.
I don't know.
Is that your third question?
No, it's not. That was more asking out loud to myself. Question number 3. What are your thoughts on vents?
On vents?
Yeah.
With a V?
Yeah, with a V.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
I think they're kind of bullshit myself, but each their own.
I mean,
you know?
you couldn't really like. I mean,
They would make Among Us much harder if you didn't have them.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But listen, sometimes people hide notes in them, and then I spend like 20 minutes on stream trying to find one, and it doesn't sit well with me.
I don't know if that's a problem with the vent so much as the person hiding a note.
Well, Addie, let's not go
or the
too
person
far.
trying to find it, but
Hey, this isn't this. That's okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. It's all fair. Number 4. How do you think the couple who couldn't believe it wasn't butter is doing? I don't know if you recall, but they were having a baby at one point during that advertising campaign. It was really weird. At some point, they were just like, I can't believe it's not butter. Also, I'm pregnant. It was out of nowhere for unprompted. It was really strange. I
can't imagine they're doing well.
It's possible.
all that cholesterol, man.
I mean,
that's true.
That's fair. But I mean, wasn't the point that there was less cholesterol in it than actual butter, but thus nobody could believe that it was not butter?
Yeah, I think that is true.
But that just means it's replaced with more chemicals, right? So
yeah. Do they still sell that brand? Are
Yes.
people still not believing it's not butter?
I guess.
Amazing.
They definitely sell it for sure.
What a world. What a world we live in. Number 5. Why did I try to put my shoes on before I got on Skype to do this podcast? I don't know why I did that, but I was wondering if you could tell me.
Actually, there is a thing, and I'm not giving any kind of diagnoses out or anything, but there is a thing, especially in the neurodivergent community, where sometimes you feel like you have to put your shoes on in order to do a productive thing or in order to initiate a task. So that's actually legit. I put my shoes on before I go to work, and I work from home.
Well, there you go. There you go. I ultimately was like, why do I have my shoes on when I went to go sit? And then I took them off. But here we are. And that's it. You've survived the 5 questions. Congratulations. Yeah, we're all very proud. I have an audience clapping sound, but it's too many things to scroll over to, so we'll just pretend that it's here.
Okay.
Great. Good job.
Oh, usually you just press the same button to close out the.
Oh well, thing. Here I'll do this one.
Fuck 'em.
Oh, okay, sure.
There you go. It's a button.
Great.
That is a button.
It's a good button. It's still a good button, Julian.
No, it peak button.
Peak button.
Sure. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Addie, we'll kind of move along. I had mentioned kind of before the show kind of what we were going to do as far as a getting to know you bit, but I guess actually. Well, no, yeah. Let's start here because it's kind of like how I start all of these with new guests because I'm fascinated by, especially as I get older. Since you are very into gaming, what game, if any, it might not have been a specific game, might have been just a certain series of events or something. But what was that game or time or moment where video games switched over from I'm a kid and I like playing games and this is a toy that. Is a thing to pass the time to, this is actually like a thing that I want to keep doing and still do and is actually a hobby enough that you actually did a podcast for it.
I think probably there's multiple points where that was kind of reconfirmed for me, but I think my first big solo experience, I guess I'll say, with video games was Final Fantasy VII. So I'm one of them's Final Fantasy VII peoples.
You're right at home with me. Nope.
Yeah, I played it for the first time when I was 14.
Okay,
and it was my
That's
first
the time to play it.
It was my first RPG, and I'm just now it's kind of, especially listening to the podcast and listening to Justin's story and stuff like that. I wonder if there's just that experience for everybody. If everybody has that one RPG they play when they're in their formative years of middle school or whatever, where it's just oh yeah, that was the one.
Right.
Prior to that, I was, I still was really into games. We always had consoles and stuff in the house, from when I was young. And most of the time it was I was watching my brother play games. So I was chronic player 2.
Yep.
But I mean, I
turned it into something that was like more exciting, I suppose, because I would basically like, we played through Silent Hill and Resident Evil and all that. Like we got into survival horror games really hard, and I was just kind of sidekicking and solving all of the riddles and being like, no, that door's locked, don't go that way, you know? So I was kind of like the assistant who was doing heavy lifting on some of the elements. So it was kind of like we were playing together. I just wasn't doing any of the battle, which has never really been the thing that interests me about games anyway. Yeah. I'm just like, I just want the story, really.
Right.
So, but yeah, so Final Fantasy VII was a big one. And then I think after that, the next really, really huge one in my life was World of Warcraft, which I played from the beginning. I think I would have been, like 17 or 18 at the time that it came out. And I played it for probably like 5 years. And have several very like nerdy claim to fames with that, because I met the father of my children in World of Warcraft.
There you go.
I have WoW babies.
No, I think that's
nice.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends that I met in Final Fantasy XI that I still talk to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, one of them is, I mean, I haven't really spoken to her much. Well, actually, she just texted me this week that she finally was checking out the show to kind of shut out the election stuff. I've known her for like, oh shit, it's been almost 20 years now. Right. Yeah. And, like my friend Cynthia, she and her husband live like 5 minutes away from me. And I met her. She was in my Link shell in, Final Fantasy XI. And, you know, so I've known her for longer. Actually, I met her before I met, Yenri. But yeah, it's a powerful thing. I will always applaud people that actually like, you know, connect that way. Cause you get to know people so well when you're just like hanging out and shooting the shit into the wee hours.
Yeah.
Especially back in the days when it was like all keyboard chat, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe you might get a better sense for someone on voice chat, but for some, it's a weird thing for me. It feels less intimate to me to do voice chat in a video game than it does to type. And it's 100% because I came up on Final Fantasy. I learned how to type because of Final Fantasy XI.
No, there you go.
Yeah. I actually have my current job that I have right now. I have because of a friend I met in World of Warcraft like 20 some years ago. So it's really crazy. And I don't have that many connections still from World of Warcraft, but it's just, you know, I do have several like gaming connections that I have as friends that are probably, you know, the closest friends that I have. So it's really cool.
Did you happen to catch any of the ad campaign for the expansion that just came out?
I didn't. I have been I've been out of World of Warcraft since like Burning Crusade, and I kind of like, I think I've tried to go back to it a few times, and every time that I've tried to go back, I'm like, oh, this is an entirely different game. This is like, I would have to surrender all of my knowledge of what this game ever was and all of my aptitude for it, just throw it out the window and start over and do like try to play it again.
Right.
And that always frustrates the hell out of me because I'm just like, no, I used to be good. And now I know nothing.
Yeah. Well, I'll piggyback off that in a sec, but the campaign was definitely geared towards you because it was literally like, it was people that are like grown ass adults with jobs and kids where they're doing like chores or like, you know, they're talking about work or something like that. And then like the doorbell rings and they go to the front door and there's like a giant like WoW sword like on the front step and they pick it up and they're like, and it says like return to the fight. Ooh. And it's like, oh man, like on one hand, this is like a really cool and effective campaign, but on the other hand, it's like, oh, you guys are fucking desperate now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, please come back, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's the same with Final Fantasy XI because like I'm actually, I can't wait to talk to Bill Tucker on A Gamer Looks at 40 for that game because Final Fantasy XI was a crucible. That game at the beginning was impossibly hard. by design. Like it was a game where it was like, you are not going to progress past level 10 if you don't work with other people. Like that was the whole like thrust of that game. And now it's like, you can solo that entire experience.
Is that the one where like if you died, you would lose a bunch of XP and you'd like lose levels?
You could de-level.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they added a. There's at the end of the Stormblood expansion in Final Fantasy 14. They added like the big thing that they added in order to go and get like your legendary weapon for that expansion was this whole new like leveling system in these like 4 different areas that was very much designed around what 11 was, with including the de-leveling. And the people who only played 14 were just like incredibly pissed and angry and whining and complaining. And all the 11 players were like, this is like way toned down from what we hasn't had to deal with. Suck it up.
Right.
Like this is way easier. So World of Warcraft was definitely a big thing.
Yeah.
And was there something like after that? You had mentioned like kind of multiple times that it kind of got reconfirmed.
Yeah, I mean, I think by that point it was like it was pretty solidified, and then I just got into games where it was just like I would just get really obsessive over like particular titles and things like that. So like when I first played Dragon Age Origins, that was like a huge one for me. When I played the Telltale Walking Dead games, those were really big games for me. Those ones were like, oh, this is literally what I would make if I were ever to like develop a game and make my own game. It would be this. Like this is how it would look. It would just be like this story that you're kind of playing through, but has like additional elements that makes it a little bit more, I guess, exciting than like just a regular visual novel.
Yeah.
And then I played Mass Effect. The whole Mass Effect series was also a big one.
No, there you go.
Yeah. I play a lot of story-driven stuff. And then at this point now, I also play a lot of like sim games. So I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place.
So this podcast in particular was like, you were like, oh, this is my scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's
The
what we
last
do.
episode you were talking about Call of Duty, and I was like, well, I don't go to Call of Duty.
The story in that one was actually pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the fact that like you were talking about it being very, very good, I was like, wait, what?
It kind of
Like, for
says a
real?
lot, right?
For
Yeah.
real? So yeah.
I didn't mention it last week. I kind of forgot, but for all of the people like kind of belly aching about, oh, I can't believe that they had, they referenced this and that, and then these people, it was actually like way toned down from the last Black Ops game that I played, where you were actually like working with Noriega for like a mission. Like
Okay.
In this one, Bill Clinton shows up in one level for like 30 seconds because you're at a fundraiser for him, because it's like him on the campaign trail when he was running for president the first time. You see him on a stage, he's talking to your target, and then he's gone.
Right.
That is it. You never meet him. You never have any face to face with him. Like that is as far as it goes. And I thought like it was like actually a really restrained way of like setting something in 1991 and addressing like, that Desert Storm was going on, but like not really like pandering, I guess, for the lack of a better term.
Right.
Like it was just like, no, this is the setting and here we go. So, no, I've been thinking about it a lot actually, like for Game of the Year purposes. Do you mind talking about like the podcast, like
sure.
kind of how you fell into that and whatnot?
So, oh gosh, it was always like weird. I guess the first one that we did, it was kind of my ex's idea, and it was him and I, and then a gaming friend we had actually from World of Warcraft. And then we also had my ex's childhood best friend, who were all on the podcast. And it was very much like, it was my ex and our WoW friend talking a lot, and then me and the childhood best friend goofing off and doing random bullshit in the background, like making jokes. So I get the vibe of this podcast because of that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it was like they would talk a lot about current games and things like that. That's never really been my gaming experience. I've never been current on games. I play everything like usually years after it's come out. I think Mass Effect, I played the original Mass Effect like 3 or 4 years after it came out, and so I was able to play the second Mass Effect shortly after I played the first Mass Effect. But yeah, like I think we did that for maybe 2 years or something like that. It was very casual, very like low effort, low energy. The one thing that I remember is having we played through Mass Effect 3. And then we recorded like a 4 or 5 hour, like essentially spoiler cast for the game because, it was a very controversial ending.
I don't know if
you remember the very controversial ending to that game back in the day. But I played it before they changed before the DLC came out, before they changed anything because I had played it like day one. And I just remember that I think we were splitting editing duties and I ended up having to edit that one.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh God. It took a very long time, but it was enjoyable. I liked doing it. And then later on, down the line, I think in about like around 2012 or 2013, I was on a film podcast with someone who I met through Twitter. And, I think that might be how a friend of the show, John Golson, knows me. Is through that podcast.
Yeah, that starts to track.
Yeah.
Noted cinephile now.
Yeah.
Professional actor.
For sure.
Yeah. So basically it was like my co-host was very much a cinephile, like really, really into film. And I kind of was just like, yeah, I like movies. That's cool. Like movies are cool. But also I was at the time I was a psychology major in college, and I was just like really into human behavior and like looking at it was before I realized that I really wanted to be an English major and look at like story. But there's actually so much overlap between social sciences and English that people often don't realize. But it was one of those things where it was like we would watch a movie and then he would talk about a lot of the like film and craft element pieces, and I'd be like, okay, but I want to do a deep dive on this character and let's talk about like why this character behaves in the way that they do. Still to this day, like one of my favorite things to do is just to like look at a character or look at pieces of a story and just kind of pick it apart. And I can't watch or play anything without like that critical eye. And I think people often think that like, they're like, doesn't that ruin your experience? And I was like, no, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
It makes it way more fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that podcast for a couple years. And then, I think that's, I guested on a few different podcasts during that time also, like horror podcasts and things like that. But I just kind of, it was one of those things where it's like you pick up a project and then it kind of fizzles out after a couple years, and that's just the way that it was. So I didn't have
podcasts,
I didn't. It has the same like, getting a D&D group together energy where it's just like,
yeah,
oh yeah, we're so excited, let's do it. But that's also like pretty much anything that I do is I get really excited about it and then buy all the supplies and then don't do it.
No, yeah.
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
I have so many art pads and pencils because I keep telling myself that I'm going to get back into drawing because I used to want to be a comic book artist. And then it was two big problems. One, I got into anime when I was 16 and I completely like fucked up like the style that whatever style I never developed, but whatever I was trying to do got like you can there's a literal, I have an actual sketchbook where you can see the demarcation line where it's like Marvel style, Dragon Ball style, and it was never the same after that. But also it didn't occur to me that comic book artists actually spent time learning how to draw real things. So I was learning by like copying Jim Lee bodies, you know, and be like, okay, that's how you draw a superhero. And it's like, right, but Jim Lee knew how to draw like an actual body and then take it to 11. And I didn't get that part. And so I just didn't really have any of the like the fundamentals down to actually like have a basis to build from. But I was pretty good. And then I was very not good. And I've always wanted to go back, but who's got the time? Especially like this show does take up a lot of the time, but It's also my big creative outlet at this point. So
I love drawing. That was a thing that I was really into also, but it was more, I like to think of myself as a copy machine.
There you go.
If it exists and there's a reference for it, I can probably do a good job duplicating it, but I cannot do anything actually from my brain. It's way harder.
I still think that the ability to like, you know, copy something and make it look really good. I think that's totally cool. Like some of my favorite pieces are copies. Like I have this really awesome, I did a Reba McEntire, from like one of her album covers. That's like one of my favorite pieces that I ever did. And then like the owner of Game Fellas, she's a gorgeous woman. And I had photographed her as Sable for our website when WWF Attitude was coming out. Like we did a whole photo shoot to post on the website. And so I took one of those photos and I did a picture of her and let that, it's gorgeous. And it's like, yeah, but I just copied it. Like I just transferred it from photograph to drawing, but I'm still super proud of it. More so than maybe some of the stuff that was just like freehand, you know, from scratch type stuff. I miss it. My friend Blissy got me an art book last year, and I've been meaning to crack into it. I really want to draw like what Morgun looks like, and like post that somewhere.
That would be very fun.
Draw what all the characters look like, Julian. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should do that.
There you go.
That was actually, I think if anything, like towards the end, like what my style ended up kind of becoming, like because I did a lot of art for Game Fellas, like for different signs and stuff like that for the store. And it ended up becoming like kind of a combination of Daria and the Clerks animated series.
Okay.
Oh, that's rad. I like that.
And yeah. And so I liked that type of, so that's probably what it would end up looking like is kind of that type of thing with the really thick black lines, you know, outlining everybody.
Yeah.
But, very cool. Before we get too much deeper, I forgot to make an announcement that I meant to have at the top of the show. But
oh boy,
I wanted to have this separate from us thanking the patrons because I think a lot of people skip through the thanking the patrons part, which is fine.
I get it.
But if you're a patron, don't forget to go to the Patreon page and vote for the next Sufferer Select. It is a perfect tie right now between Ultima 9 and Siberia.
Yeah.
So,
do not make us flip this coin.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do not make us do it.
We'll do it.
We won't. We'll be upset with
duress.
you.
Yes, absolutely. Once again, you will have until 7:30. Actually, well, you probably no. Yeah, you'll have until 7:30 Central on November 15th as you're listening to this episode. So don't forget, because otherwise we are going to have to roll that dice and we don't or flip that coin or whatever. The thing of random happenstance that determines the outcome.
I have so many coins in front of me that I could flip. Don't make me do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
I don't. Yeah.
What do you follow that with?
I don't know.
What do you got? Just talk about coin flipping for 30 minutes. Let's do it. You ever flip a coin so good that it comes down and it lands on a thing, and then you can't catch it because you're bad at catching things because the coins are small, but you're good at I like to consider myself good at flipping coins. I'm not good at much, but I'm good at flipping coins, Julian.
I believe you.
Yeah.
But you can't do the two-face like coin flip and catch and coin flip and catch.
I need to practice it more. You know what his secret is? He has a really big coin.
It is a really big
it's
coin.
Tough
and
to do with a quarter.
I think there might be some lore in there that it's weighted a certain way also.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So that's the trick though. If you have a big coin, you can do it.
Yeah.
But quarters, like I can flip a quarter and it'll flip real good.
A 50-cent piece will flip really well.
That
I know
would be
you got
good.
really like well acquainted with 50-cent pieces recently,
right?
In
I sure
in a game. But
I sure
we'll
did.
talk about that later.
I have strong thumbs.
That would have been a perfect segue, but I'm not ready. We've still got another 28 minutes of coin flip talk.
You're right.
What you do is you train with a dime.
Well,
you train doing the flip with a dime, and then it's like when you it's like when I had a real janky laptop for gaming, and I got like 3 frames per second in Payday 2, and then I got really great at playing at 3 frames per second. Then I got a real decent computer.
That's fair.
And all of a sudden, I'm like every shot's a headshot. So you train with something way more difficult.
Now, do you think that the dime is more of an advantage or less of an advantage? That's the question.
I think the dime is less of an advantage. I think that's way more
harder
difficult
to do
because it's lighter.
It's so small. Yeah,
it's tiny, so it's hard.
Yeah, I definitely can't catch it, but I can flip it for sure.
I mean, I'm sure the flip would actually be probably a lot more satisfying because you're probably going to get a lot of way more rotation.
Well, let's try it. I have one right here.
All right, perfect.
Here we go.
Live on air.
Here's I'm not going to catch it, but it's going to land somewhere. Here we go. It flipped away over there. Wow, dime is hard.
That wasn't a flip so much as just a casual chunk across the room.
That was hard. Okay, hold on.
Let me see if I can.
I may have. It went over there.
Oh, okay.
See, that one I caught.
Oh, nice.
And flipped it. That's a quarter. Dimes are hard. You're right. Okay. We had to put that theory to the test because I was like, do you think it'd be, because you have to hit the edge just right or else it doesn't do the whole real fast flip thing. So
it's kind of like Pog's theory. It's a little bit like Pog's theory.
I don't know what that is, but I believe you.
Oh boy.
I really enjoy hitting the edge just right.
Okay, Julian.
Nothing quite like it.
Great.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was waiting.
It's time. God damn it. You've been pushing me a while, Julian. I really didn't want to do this. Okay. Especially here we have Addie here, and now you're gonna make her sit through this. And this is on you. Okay. You did this. And
I agree.
Especially this episode, Julian. This is why.
Oh,
what?
Oh, Justin, I've got some bad news for you in a little bit.
Okay.
Because we're about to talk about OnlyFans coming up.
Oh, that's fine. That's a different thing. That's a different thing. Okay, that's a different thing. We're fine. Okay, I just didn't want to do this particular episode. I've been giving you so much leeway.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. No. Not on this episode. This episode. I mean, this episode of Shasta McNasty, which is titled "Chubby Chick."
Oh God. Okay.
See what you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I bet this aged really well.
Oh, I'm sure it did, Julian. Here's the synopsis for Shasta McNasty's episode 4, Chubby Chick. Guest starring Ben Stein. Or wait, was that that was the last episode? Sorry, this is not formatted very well. I apologize. We learned about that last time. I remember that now. Dennis thinks that his chubby girlfriend will dump him when she loses weight. Elsewhere, after not being able to watch the Notre Dame game in Captain Bob's or any other local bar local to them, Randy convinces Scott to steal their neighbor's cable. Which also, this is on Wikipedia, and they don't put the apostrophe S after neighbor, and that really bothers me. Cable, so they can watch the game. Unfortunately, their neighbor has a love of Spanish soap operas. You did this, Julian. Okay. That's it. We don't know how it ends. You have to watch the episode. Great. Are you happy with yourself?
No, actually.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
There you go.
I regret my words and deeds.
I'm glad. I think we all learned something today.
So, Addie. I had a question, actually. I was thinking about it before that.
Good.
So, you were into WoW for quite some time, and you had mentioned, that you were like really good at it. How deep in did you get? Like, were you doing like raid night?
Oh yeah. I was doing 40-man raids on Blackwing Lair when that was like the peak. That was the pinnacle of what you were able to do in original vanilla WoW. And we did actually finally get through, and we beat the Blackwing Lair a couple times in the guild that I was in. So yeah, like consistently doing 40-man raids and stuff like that. I at the time was like, I think 20, 21, something like that. I didn't have my own computer. I was using my dad's computer. And so I had to play when he wasn't playing because my dad was also into WoW.
Yeah.
And so I did this whole split sleep schedule thing where I would sleep for 4 hours and then I would wake up and I would play WoW. And then he'd come home and he'd want to play. And then I'm like, all right, back to bed. And so I literally was just like, it was wild.
That's pretty good.
But that tends to be like the typical when WoW came out story. Like everybody was just like crazy into that game and wanting to play it all the time. And that's also part of the reason why it's hard for me to go back, or why it has been hard for me to go back now, because I'm like, when I boot up WoW, all I want to do is play it like I'm 20 and don't have any responsibilities. But the problem is I have responsibilities now. You know, I'm like, well, you know, so, but yeah, it was, we were doing all the like deep content when Burning Crusade came out. We were starting to do all of that content and that kind of thing. But I left pretty shortly after, the beginning of like Burning Crusade's launch or something like that. I think it was 2008. I remember. And I was just like, I don't know. I wasn't into it. I didn't like how it changed. I didn't like how the first, and it's controversial, right? Because I think for the actual health of the game, they needed to make it so that they weren't like having content that required 40 people to be online at the same time.
Yeah.
But it was just so epic to have that many people coming together and all collectively having to work together like in a very intricate way in order to be successful in those dungeons, that like going into a 10-man was like, okay, this is boring.
Yeah.
This isn't very exciting. It's not very fun, even if it's difficult. Like, it just didn't seem like, plus, I mean, it also really highlights like the people who aren't doing their job.
Yeah.
So that if you goof off, you're like, oh, well. I mean, I was DPS at the time, so I wasn't like a healer or anything. No one was going to yell at me. I was a mage. I was making all the snacks before we went in, so no one's going to yell at me. I might mess up a pull if I like sheep something too early, but you know, but yeah, we were doing all the end game stuff at the time. It was fun. Cool. I had a raiding guild that I had to apply for.
Oh, wow.
Which I always think is a very cool, like, nerd cred thing, where it's just like, you gotta actually fill out an application and like then be interviewed and then be accepted into the raiding guild. It's very cool.
Hearing you talk about this reminds me of the time when I was a whale in a mobile game. And there was raids and stuff like that. Well, it wasn't so much raids, but you had guilds and shit. And people fought each other. Like it was like you would pit against live people, but if nobody showed up on the other team, they would just put you against the AI, and the AI would just sit there and like not do very much, which was hilarious most of the time. I spent way too much money on that game, and then realized I had a problem with gacha games, and was like, okay, I got to get out of here. But yeah, you had to apply to the thing, and it was a whole big thing. We were the second best one. We were pretty damn good.
Well, if you're gonna whale, you may as well like go.
Oh yeah,
head for the top, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, pretty much. There was only one guild that was better than us, and they just spent a lot more money than we did. That's pretty much what it was. You know, what are you gonna do?
It's probably fucking Ted Cruz in that guild.
No, it was like a Hawaiian cook. I knew them. They were all right. I knew them. Like on that, hearing you guys talk about like that stuff, it reminds me so much of that, because I would sit. They had like a little lobby you could sit in and type stuff to people. Like it was like a big chat thing, and so you would sometimes like just get to know a lot of people that way. And just like I remember finding that guy, me and that guy became friends and would talk and stuff. We were on opposing sides or whatever, but you know, it was a whole thing.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
It was really fun, like you know, and actually Videoverse, when we were talking about Videoverse for Game of the Year, like that was a thing that, when I played it, earlier this year as well, like, it nails that kind of part of like the online thing of like kind of slowly getting to know people, like just kind of through, not even really them outright saying certain things, but just like certain phrases or something like that. So then it's like, oh, well, now I know that they're this, or that they have a sister or whatever, because they mentioned, it wasn't necessarily like we're having like a deep conversation. It was more just like, oh, this kid just came up, right? And like, I'll never forget the first time that I met Ethicant and Yenri in Final Fantasy XI, who were became two of my best friends in 11. And Ethicant like kept like kind of getting up and leaving like during like this party. And he would just like keep getting up and going, like he kept going AFK and coming back and everything like that. And me and Yenri were doing a lot of chatting for that whole party. And the impression that I got of both of them was, oh, Ethicant is like a teenage guy, and Yenri's like probably about my age. I would have been 24 at this time,
right?
And then I found out that Ethicant was a 50-year-old man who just had like health problems, and that's why he had to keep getting up. And Yenri was 16.
Makes sense.
And I was like, this is completely like not the impression I had of either of these people. But they ended up, being like, really, really good friend. Like I remember talking with Ethicant about philosophy like at 2 a.m. sometimes, right? And it was also around the time that I got into Guitar Hero, and so I was starting to listen to like rock music for the first time, and I was like, man, the lyrics to War Pigs are like kind of deep. And Ethicant was like, oh no, you have no idea, blah 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 blah. And it's like, just like really great fond memories of that shit.
Oh yeah.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
It's J&J in the morning with Jules and Justin.
And that was the second time I got crabs.
How much butterscotch is in this trash can?
No, that's insane. You're insane.
Keep your morning drive crazy.
Buckle up, Kathy. There's a storm coming.
My wife handed me a warm Coke. Warm Coke. It's just the most disgusting thing. I can't believe that she actually would do that.
I'll drink a warm Coke. I don't care.
You're on the air caller. What's the craziest thing your boyfriend's ever made you do?
So like this one time, this guy poured strawberry milk all over my body.
Oh, that's disgusting.
What's with all this negativity about strawberry milk?
Yeah, and then he licked it off of my feet.
You licked it off your feet?
Don't you touch my feet.
J&J in the morning, 6 to 10, Monday through Friday.
Throw your purse in the trash. It's time for jelly beans.
Well, Addie, I want to get into like games that you've been up to lately, and we'll go around the room as well. But and we'll definitely circle back to this at the end. But you did start an OnlyFans not that long ago, and I'm kind of curious about like how that's been as far as like you don't have to get like super personal if you don't want to, like as far as like how you decide to start it or whatever. But I find the whole concept like very fascinating. I actually made friends with a cam girl like long time ago. I met her in the cam shows, but then like we just kind of hit it off. And she lives in New Zealand, and when I would work night shift at the landfill, she would call me and just she'd be like, "You won't believe the shit this last guy wanted to do," right? And like it was like the most fun like conversations. I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" Well, I wasn't. I didn't cuss back then, but just like that kind of back and forth of like, man, guys are weird. And she's like, no, I know.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate that I have so far cultivated a very good group of people over there that are not asking me to do like really weird things or anything, like, and nobody's like pushing boundaries and stuff like that. I try to be pretty clear in my like welcome message to just be like, listen, I'm going to do things at my comfort level, and that's that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just if you challenge that, then you will get banned, and that's just how it's going to be.
Right.
But in terms of like getting started with it, gosh, there's a lot that goes into that. I think primarily it's like
I have always enjoyed, and not to sound vain, I've always enjoyed taking selfies. I think that I look cute most of the time, and I think that I'm pretty good at the like staging of stuff. So like the like photography elements and that kind of thing. So it's just been something like, I just, like I got selfie game. And so I was just, for a long time, that was the extent of what that was. I want to say back in 2013-ish, I joined a couple of like BBW groups on Facebook where it was just like, people who were appreciating big women. And I would post there and get nice little compliments and comments and stuff like that. And I enjoyed that kind of attention. And it was fun to just be flirty. And so that was a thing that I enjoyed. And then I got into a relationship around 2015, and I kind of shut all of that stuff down because it was a monogamous relationship. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like flaunt my body around or anything. And eventually it got to the point where I had started to like struggle with aging and my appearance, because my appearance was kind of changing from when I was in my 20s. And I started to feel kind of like uncomfortable, and I was having a lot of like issues just dealing with the way that I was looking. And I had asked my partner at that time, I was like, hey, listen, I used to do this thing where I would post photos and people would respond. And I think that maybe that kind of interaction would be something that would be helpful for me. And he was not comfortable with me doing that. And so it was something that I just hadn't really done for a long time. And then earlier this year, that relationship ended after almost a decade. And it's one of those things that the ending of that relationship felt more of a relief than a heartbreak.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it was something where it was like the grief of that all happened in the last like 2 to 5 years. So it's not like, it wasn't something where it was like a hugely painful situation, although it was like disruptive, I guess, to my life.
Oh yeah.
But there was also an element of that relationship where there was a lack of sex that was happening. And that I didn't realize, I think, at the time, how important that was to me, like how important sex was in my life and how much I enjoyed it. And I think I was to the point where I was just like, in order to like keep the relationship healthy and working, I was like, oh, I can take this. I can deal with that not being a thing, and I can convince myself that it's not important to me in order to kind of like keep the relationship going. And it wasn't, that element wasn't really a factor in the relationship ending. It was like the intimacy part was a factor in it ending, but the sex itself was not a factor in it ending. I could have gone on forever not having sex if I had intimacy. But that said, when that relationship ended, I was like, there was this kind of big sense of a big desire to reclaim that energy and to kind of reclaim the fact that that's an important part of my life. And I ended up like, I don't know, like a week after.
Did you go hog wild?
A week after the breakup, I installed a bunch of dating apps. And I was like, I gotta get laid. So I did that, and then I ended up finding a couple people, but I found my current partner, and we've had a great time.
Fantastic.
But they've also been like very encouraging about me starting OnlyFans, because I had mentioned it at some point as like, as an idea or a thought. Because also at the time I was unemployed because I had been laid off early in the year. So I was like, I need a way to make extra money. Like maybe I can just sell pictures of my titties.
There you go.
So I ended up going on there and just kind of like poking around with it. At first, it was just kind of like, okay, well, here it is. And then I kind of like told a couple of people who I was friends with who, pretty much it's like when I post a thirst trap on the socials, who's liking it? All right, gonna message those people and be like, hey, just so you know, there's an OnlyFans. And this is tooting my own horn. I have 100% success rate in getting subs from people who I have direct messaged from.
Fucking A.
So,
can I ask you,
cool.
Did you find it difficult to get approved from OnlyFans? Like, did it take interesting?
I mean, it is a process, right? So it is you have to fill out a bunch of paperwork, and you have to you have to take a picture of yourself holding your ID, and so there's a lot of actually verifying your identity pieces of it. But I think when I started the process, I was approved within, I want to say, 48 hours of starting that process.
Okay. That's really interesting to me. So I've had this theory for a little bit, but maybe it's getting better. I've had this theory that OnlyFans, like as a company, is kind of low key, I don't know, like dismissive of plus size creators because I have a lot of mutuals on Tumblr who have like a lot of them had they were like, hey, I look good, like I'm comfortable, like I want to start an OnlyFans, I've got a good following, and almost every one of them got rejected. One of them she ended up she got into Fansly immediately, basically as soon as she applied and gave them what they needed, she was on there.
Yeah.
And she is on OnlyFans now, but it took her a really long time to get on there.
Yeah.
And the commonality with all of them is that they're all big girls.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really interesting to me that you're all gorgeous and you all I'm assuming that they all submitted what they needed to submit, but every one of you denied, and there's a common thread here, and I'm wondering if that's what it is, because if so, that fucking sucks.
I will say, they are, the process is finicky. And I think that I did initially get, I initially got, the rejection, but they're like, hey, this piece, so I think it was the selfie that I took with my ID, they're like, this is rejected. You can't, this is not going to qualify you if you submit a new one where basically you can see, because it was something about they couldn't see the date of birth or something on my ID or something like that. So it was they really, really want to make sure that everying is, they cross all their T's, dot all their I's, all of that stuff. They want to make sure that legally their ass is covered. But
yours isn't.
That's a good one. I like that a lot.
That was a good joke. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also when my partner was trying to sign up on there, I think it also they had a little bit of a hiccup where they had to resubmit some things also. But I think it probably is if you're talking about something where, those people were trying a year ago or something like that, or even before that, it might be a difference of just the process becoming smoother or them having a better way of verifying people. So, but it seemed like it was a lot. You had to give a lot of information. I'm like, well, I get it. Right? They have to verify you, and that makes sense. But it wasn't super difficult of a process.
Okay. Yeah. I'm super pro sex work, and I'm also super pro just putting yourself out there. I think it could actually do a lot of good for the self-esteem, right? There's someone out there, someone's going to be that's my jam, right? No matter what, right? Even me, right? Who has felt ugly his entire life. Thanks, Dad. In the last few years, literally right before the pandemic, I was starting to really feel good about, I was like, oh, the dad bod's a thing now, huh? All right, cool. and the last girl that I hooked up with was way out of my league. A big part of that was that I was Mr. Right there or right there, type thing when
Sure.
she needed that. But at the same time, it's like there were other guys that could have been Mr. Right There, and she chose me, and I was like, you were way too hot for me to be this close to you, but I'm going to enjoy this ride while I can.
There you go.
And that had me feeling really good. And then lockdown happened, and that's gone. Like, but no, I've got like one of my best friends. She used to post on Tumblr all the time, and she hasn't done it in a really long time. But like, she's put on some COVID weight, and she's feeling really down about herself. And I'm like, you should post pictures again. Like,
Yeah.
it'll probably make you feel good. Like, and also like, if you can make money from it, more power to you. I think that's awesome. Like it's one of the things that I always, if I have a friend that's pretty enough and like they're struggling, like, have you ever thought about camming or doing this or that? Cause like, if I could do it, I would absolutely do it. Like, like if I had something that people wanted to pay to see, like I would 100% be doing that shit. Like one of my favorite, I think it's a TikTok, is this dude who, like he got a bunch of cash from his OnlyFans and he brings it to his sister to like pay off her student loan. And he kicks down the door to his like parents' house and he throws the money at her. Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah. He's like, that's the money for showing my butthole or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I do remember that.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I haven't made I don't make a whole bunch of money on there, but it's a little bit. I make a little bit. And honestly, like, I think it's just honestly the experience of it has been very fun. And also like I've added this interesting dimension to like so many of my relationships with people who I've just known on the internet for a long time.
Yeah.
And like it's friendship with a twist.
There you go.
It's a friend who sees me naked. And there's just a different dynamic to that.
Right.
There's a lot more that I want to do like on the platform that I haven't done yet. Like building like custom offerings and premium stuff like that I just haven't gotten to. But I'm enjoying it so far.
Like, it's a lot of work. Like, I think that's, like, you'll see, like, a certain type of person being like, oh, well, like, I can't believe that these girls are, like, just making all this money, like, and they don't have to do shit. It's like, no, you gotta put the work in. Like, besides just, like, the getting an outfit or doing your makeup or doing your hair and then taking the pictures, but also just, like, the legwork of, like, making sure people know that they can find you, right? Like, the most successful people are the ones that are active with their community, right? That are actually like responding to messages and stuff like that. That can get exhausting. So like it's a huge amount of work.
Like any other kind of like content creation and any other kind of like maintaining of parasocial relationships or whatever with your audience, like it is exactly the same as anything else. It's just you're doing it naked.
As far as like the, kind of pulling on the thread of the friends that get to see you naked type thing, like, was that kind of a new experience for you or had it just been like a long time since you had that? I think it had been a
long time because I did have like I had a phase when I was single where I was just like, hey, want to see a spicy picture of me? And they always said yes because I would say yes. If anybody's like, hey, want to see a naked picture, I'm like, okay.
Right.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah,
not the I'd fuck me hard type.
Well,
thing.
I probably, but
no, there you
go. But yeah, like I just I don't know where my thought was going. Sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
Me.
No, yeah, totally.
It's gone now.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's not like, I don't even really think of it because like it's just like to me, it's just like another thing, right? Like, and maybe part of that is that I did photography for so long. And so even though I never actually did like a full on nude photo shoot, I have seen many of my female friends basically naked, since I was like in high school. So like that just became like a very normal thing for me. And then I think also like, most of my mutuals on Tumblr happen to be women. I think it's also just because Tumblr it's a lot of women on Tumblr. And there was a time in the before times when everybody was showing their titties, because you could just show your titties. You can't really do that. You can kind of do it again, but they're really particular about what you can show. So it's still a thing. But so it's just like, yeah, okay. So this is my friend that I message and talk to regularly, and there's her boobs, and it's not even, it's like, yeah, this is fine. Like, and I think a big part of it too for me is just that I came from such a buttoned up conservative upbringing that it's just like, no, fuck it, hog wild, let's go. Like, let's see everybody's tits and dicks. I don't care. Like, it's
there you go.
It's fine. We're all going to die.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the vibe.
There you go.
I will say that, I think that doing OnlyFans has been really interesting for me because, at least at this point in my life, and I'm not really sure which came first, if it was like the changing, like the shifting of my perspective, or the actually doing the OnlyFans, but it's helped a lot in like separating the idea of like sex and sexual content and things like that from like romance, because I think I was the kind of person who in my youth was like, oh, someone's paying attention to me. I think I'm in love. And now it's more just like, oh, hey, I really like this kind of attention. I can like that kind of attention, and I can even have like whatever mild crushes on people or whatever. And it doesn't necessarily mean like that needs to go anywhere, because it probably shouldn't. So it's good. Like, it's been a good way to kind of understand that like I can compartmentalize this. Like, it doesn't have to be something where it's like, oh, okay, well, this person's showing me some like sexual attention, and that means I should turn my life upside down and fucking set everything on fire so I can get in a relationship with them, because that's been my history. So it's been really interesting. And I do think, a lot of it has been my perspective shifted first, but then also like the addition of doing OnlyFans and having this kind of like sexuality as like something that is a little bit transactional. Like, it seems almost like that kind of, there's a piece of me that's been socialized to think of that as like a cheapened experience. But I think it's just that, right? Like, it's just the way that I've been socialized. It's not necessarily that like that has to be that way. To me, it feels like it's a very fulfilling thing. The interactions that I have are very fulfilling and make me feel good, and also give me a little bit of money, right? So I can maybe buy cute outfits and take more cute pictures.
There you go.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Is that I think for a lot of people that do OnlyFans, like on, that aren't doing it as like their capital C career, right?
Yeah.
Like, it ends up being like much like Patreon for small podcasts.
Yeah.
It just feeds back into itself, right? Because like, yeah, I'm going to use this money to buy a new toy or a new outfit or get some professional pictures done, which is then just going to go back into, the actual product.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for me, and I would be curious if like how other people will kind of consume that type of content, because like for me, I support like my friends that are on, OnlyFans or whatnot when I can. And then also like, friends online that have posted pictures, and it's pretty much never like it's usually that's a really nice picture. They look really nice. And then they kind of move on.
Yeah.
But the same person could send me something that's for me. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh,
that's different. Right.
There's like a different like mentality there. And I don't know, like, I don't know if I'm weird for that or if that's kind of how most people approach it. It probably also depends on the person, right? Like, I'm sure, Addie, that there were probably like some of those friends who had followed you for a while were like, oh, I've been waiting for this for a really long time, and let's fucking go.
Yeah, there's definitely been a few of those. Yeah, for sure. I think one of the first people I like reached out to, like, we just definitely did not have that kind of dynamic to our relationship, because the way that we knew each other was that our mutual friend was my ex. And so it was always very much like he just never was in that mode. But then I don't know, he said something relatively flirty one day, and I was like, well, I just started this OnlyFans. And he was just like, what? You've just made my week. Right. So, yeah, but I don't know. I think, it's just been a really good experience. It's
Nice.
it's
That's
very
always great.
fun. It's a good time, and it's so like there's like it's just liberating, you know.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of people who are similar, Julian, who have a thing for the content that is like just for them. So it's something where it's just like, oh, if it's an interaction that's just like 1-to-1, it's just that's what is really exciting for them. I mean, I get plenty of interactions on like my like public posts and stuff like that, but I think the stuff that comes in through DMs and stuff like that, even if it's stuff I'm sending to multiple people, usually the stuff that's through DMs is just people respond better to it because it feels a little bit more like direct, I guess. So yeah,
for sure. Well, very cool. Yeah. And we'll definitely promote it more at the end of the show. I don't think that I can put the actual link in the show notes because of YouTube, but I know I can post your like Twitter profile and your Blue Sky profile, and then that has your link in bio.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
Oh, maybe that's the name of the episode. I was trying to figure out.
Well, there you go.
This week's
Nailed
episode
it.
would be.
You know, put a pin in it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
You never know.
Still
You
young.
never know, Julian.
Yeah. Most likely, Justin is going to say something in the next couple hours that's going
Could
to
be a
reveal
lot
itself.
more vent talk coming up. You never know. I'm real into vents lately and trying to find them.
Yeah. I mean, I watched Alien and Aliens recently, so I've been
A lot of
thinking about
vents.
a lot.
A lot
as
of
well.
vents.
A lot of vents.
A lot
in
of
those
vents.
movies.
A lot of vents.
Yeah. Bishop worm wiggles his way for 2 miles through that vent in Aliens.
That's true.
Really claustrophobic feeling.
There you go.
The State Select is made possible through the support and funding of viewers like you. Here are our wonderful patrons.
Well, before we get much further, Justin, I think it's time to thank our lovely patrons.
Oh, okay. We can do that.
Yes. We appreciate all of our lovely patrons, but every week we like to thank our executive producer tier. And this week, we have Xavier Kreger.
We have Stephen Lobo.
We have Raymond Crum.
We have Philip P.K. Becker.
We have Matt Jorgensen. Why are you on the verge of laughing?
Because when I before I clicked on the list, I accidentally clicked on the lyrics to "Seal's Kiss by a Rose," and and that was really fun. I was like, what if I just started reading the lyrics to this instead of that? But I didn't do that.
Okay.
So you read Matt Jorgensen, right?
Yeah.
All right. We have Joel Thoman.
We have Gabe Johnson.
We have Xrian.
We have Eric Peacock. Eric, call me. I want to be on Soundtracker again, and we want you on this podcast. Why don't you return my DMs?
Yeah. Well, he's busy.
Yeah.
You gotta catch him on a good day. We have Dennis Robertson.
We have David Portnov.
We have Casey Curran.
We have Bookie.
I don't know why I read Casey's name that way, but I did. We have Big Baker.
And last but certainly not least, we have Addie XD. That's you.
That's me. You're welcome.
No, thank you so much. Yes.
And I refuse to close the lyrics to Seal's Kiss by Rose, even though there's an infinite loading advertisement going on right now. So this may not be the last time that I accidentally click that link. I'll tell you right now. Did you know, Julian, that when it snows, my eyes become wide and the light that you shine can't be seen?
I did, actually.
I mean,
it's a thing that I have known about you for years.
It's on the top 10 Justin Ham facts, that's for sure.
Oh, we need to come up with top 10 Justin Ham facts.
I mean, that's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll think of some more.
Yeah. Speaking of Justin.
Sure.
You had a week. You got up to some shit.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I guess I played some video games. I played them. Most of the new stuff that I played was on stream. The other stuff was Dragon Age, but I'll get into that later. I played, let's see. We'll start with, I played TCG Card Shop Simulator, a game where you run I'm going to say Pokemon equivalent card game shop. And
yep. Mm-hmm.
you sell cards to folks.
game that I had been begging you to play.
Yeah, so
I'm just going to put this out there. Next time that I beg you to play a game on stream, maybe just a text beforehand saying, "Hey, man,
Julian,
I'm going to play this game that you've been begging me to play, so that I can be there and talk shit."
Julian, to be fair, usually you're there.
It was on a Sunday.
Yeah, I know. I told you all week. I was gonna stream all week. Why wouldn't I stream on Sunday?
Because it's a weekend.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, okay. Well, if we want to be technical, now I made the archive was still there.
I watched a good chunk of it. I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, you're not missing that much. It was fine. That game's okay.
Justin, I don't think you understand how entertaining it is to watch you get increasingly angry at having to make change.
There's so much math. It's just math. Immediately when I started playing, I was like, was this just Julian trying to trick me into doing math for 3 hours? Is that what this is? Eventually I got kind of good at it, and I was like, oh my god, it's just so much fucking math. Why do all these people pay in cash? Nobody does that anymore. Who's doing that? No one. Only the people on this game. Because they were like, oh, it'll be like a math simulator. Fuck off. I don't know why I said that so weird. Fuck off. That's weird. That's a weird way to say that. Here we are.
As I was watching you play it, it actually, like, I had an idea for a video game because I had planned on opening a video game store before the pandemic. That was a thing that was in the cards.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, like a video game store simulator that's set like around like 2000 would be like really
That'd be neat. Yeah, that'd be neat. Actually, like, this game has a lot of potential. Like, where the places they're going with it, or at least they say they're going with it, seem really neat. Like, Julian, I know from us talking, just before the show, kind of thought I would get into like the opening the packs aspect and getting the individual cards. And that is like definitely the hook of the game. Like, that's what kind of sets it apart for sure. Because like, yeah, you pull like $1,000 card and suddenly you're just like, oh, well, I just made so much money on this. Like, that's great. Mm-hmm. My old, card shop instinct started to kick in. Like, when I would open packs and shit like that, where you open a pack up and you're like, I didn't even make the fucking money back from this pack. This is all junk. And like, it instantly kicks in. Like, instantly. Like, that's a bad feeling. Like, it is essentially just gambling every time when you buy one of those. Cause sometimes you get way more than your money back. And sometimes you're like, well, I guess I did a thing. I guess I looked at cards. That's fun.
Actually, I have a question about that.
Sure.
Because you got into Magic for a really long time. I got into Doom Trooper, but that was more just to actually like just play the game with my nerd friends at the lunch table. But so because it was never like a dedicated like collecting thing. It was more of just like, we kind of just played it. But
right.
What is the mentality? Because when I was doing like the Marvel Universe cards when I was in middle school, that was very much about trying to get the whole set, right? Like I think there was like 4 series of Marvel Universe that I have, and there was like 2 series of X-Men, and it was just about getting all the cards. Mm-hmm. What is the mentality like when you're doing like Magic? Like, obviously you're trying to build a deck. I get that part of it. But is there also, because, part of the TCG is or CCG is collectable, right? So like, is there a part of it where it's just like, I want to get a whole set?
Also TCG, because trading. So this is a very important aspect, and that's a very important aspect. When you hang out in a card shop, like that, people are going there buying cards and playing games and doing all this stuff. The biggest thing when you're buying packs, right? So one of my favorite things to do was when a set would drop. If I had the money, I would buy like a whole booster box, like just a whole fucking box of them. Just sit there and open pack after pack after pack after pack. And the entire purpose of it was I need to get the individual cards that I've looked at that are coming out for this set that I have ideas to make decks for. I'm not going to get them all, but what I will get is stuff that I don't care that much about that I can then trade off to people who will have this stuff. And that tends to work out. Usually you have some stuff in mind and you're like, oh man, I'm built. Like, it's kind of, it's a lot of like, okay, I have this idea. I need this card, this card, this card, and this card. And then I can get that going. So I have some of these already. And then you start like kind of, we used to do a lot of like proxying, which, you know, if for the uninitiated, that's what you kind of just put a basic land and then write, this is this card on it. And you go from there. And then you can kind of test decks that way. And so slowly over time, you start to take those proxies out and put them in with the real cards. And then, you know, you go to your Friday Night Magic and you play the deck or whatever that you had in mind. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But that's like a big thing. That's like the key thing I think it's missing right now that they are looking to add is like the playable aspect of it. Because when I'm opening cards, all I'm looking in the TCG card shop simulator, when I'm opening the packs, all I'm looking at is how much they cost. Because I'm just like, oh yeah, this one's $3. Okay, I can sell that. Okay, I can sell that. Okay, I can sell that.
Look at this beautiful purple card, and then listen to the ASMR of welcome everybody. Today we're going to be doing card pack openings. Listen to this. Oh, did you hear that? Okay, now listen to the flip. And we have Claw Venture and Aqua Rift. And Talon, Ika, and we got Kataryu, and we got Skargors, and we got Timbro, and we got Threes. One more, and one more Musket, and Talonica, and Koralrothian, and Drill Saros. Oh, and we got a rare, super rare Rothy! Oh my god! Sorry, I got so excited. Oh, I got Lucinder. Oh, and we got another $10 gold foil Talon Zoo! Wow! Okay.
There's no like, ooh, I need that for my deck. I'm not going to sell that. Or like, there's no like, ooh, that'd be really cool to put this $1,000 card in my deck. Nobody else will have, so I can be the cool guy at the card shop, right? Like, there's none of that. The one fun joke the one fun aspect of it that was very real to me is every card shop I've ever been to always has the one card that's like a lot of money that no one ever fucking buys. And it just sits there and collects dust. And everybody's like, someday I'm going to buy that card. I think in ours, it was a Jace the Mind Sculptor. And that was like $100, $200, something like that at the time. And it was, I do have a Jace the Mind Sculptor, actually, believe it or not. But that's because they reprinted it. It doesn't fucking matter. I pulled like $1,000 card in this thing, and it was like, ooh, okay, now I can make $1,000. And I set it out in my display, and everybody was like, that's too expensive. And I was like, that's the realest shit right there. That is the realest shit. Every shop has that card where they just walk in, they go, oh man, that's really cool, but I ain't got that kind of money to pay for that. It's like, they nailed that aspect. Mm-hmm. A couple things I wish it would had that I don't think they'll add. I kind of wish instead of shooting for like just random NPCs that come in, I kind of wish that they had names and were regulars, and you kind of started to because that's like a real part of it, and you kind of build your own community, and like maybe some people like, come in are assholes, and like they have like smelly
do the Valhalla
customers.
Thing,
yeah,
right? like actually start to like because that is the thing that I miss from Game Fellas, right?
Yes.
Is those personalities that would come in and just talking to them, like, so,
it'd be awesome.
Some of them weren't actually technically customers; they were just like loiterers that would like hang out at the store all day, every day.
Like I said, I believe I told a few stories on stream of like staying in the card shop till 3 a.m. with the guy one of the employees of it, because like who was going to stop us, and we just sat there and played till 3 a.m. just doing dumb shit. There was like. They had a TV in there. I remember we just played Spotify on it until, like I said, 3, 4 in the morning. He was like, wow, I'm really tired. I was like, I work nights, so this is like my afternoon right now. It's fine. He was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going home. That was.
And he just left you there in the card shop by yourself.
No. I tried to get a job there a few times. They never hired me, which was a bummer. But then again, I already had a job. I think that was their big turnoff. It doesn't matter. Anyway, there was a guy who smelled bad that nobody wanted to play cards with. There was all like my like little crew of cool JD and not cool JD. There were two JDs. One of them was cool. One of them wasn't. One of them, cool JD could get away with wearing socks and sandals. He was crazy.
See that? I don't feel that he's cool, JD, in that case, Justin.
No, he was cool.
Socks and sandals thing.
Julian, I swear to you, I never let people get away with that. Cool JD could get away with it. He was that cool. You had to know him. Enough. He was the most chill dude. And he and I would test our decks, and then I had my friend Carlos who would come in and be like, check this out, man. And he would just like show, I would play a game against him, and I would have like whatever deck I was playing, and he would have his deck, and it would always be some insane thing that nobody thought of yet. And he would just be like, check. And he's like, yeah, this card's actually really good. And I'm like, oh, that is really good. I remember we cracked the code on a card named Master of Waves before anybody else did. And we felt so fucking proud when it came out on the Pro Tour that was a good card. We were like, yeah, we figured it out. We fucking cracked it. It was great. But yeah, like that aspect is kind of missing here, but it is what it is, right? It's a simulator game. They're doing, little fun stuff like some of the customers are smelly, which I'm like, okay, I guess that's fine. We sell deodorant.
No, but you bring up a really good point, because I don't know that I've ever seen a simulator game that actually tries to add a type of like story element to it.
I don't even know if you need a story element, just personality, right? Like,
or that, yeah, like, or even that, right? Or I guess Inzoi might be trying to go for something like that. I'm not actually quite sure.
It's possible. I'm not sure either. That's like The Sims, right? That's
true.
I'm talking about like, this is like a simulator, like you were running this store.
Yeah.
The other thing about it that I wish it had, and this is like kind of like a fun idea, is like one of the other ways you would make money, like selling individual cards. They kind of nailed that part. That's actually the spot where you make the most money, is opening. Like, most of the time those shops aren't opening their own packs, though. It's people coming in who open packs and go, yeah, I don't want any of this shit, and selling it back to the store for half of what it actually fucking costs, and then they resell it, so that, like, I wish they had like somebody comes in and tries to like trade off their cards and stuff like that. I think that'd be a really cool thing. That would work with like a video game thing too. Obviously that used to be a big thing. There's a lot of little things they could do, and I'm sure they can add more and more. I remember there was something I said on stream that I wish the game had, but maybe it was what I just mentioned. But yeah, it's neat. It has a lot of potential, and it is definitely, like, of all the store simulators I've seen, it definitely has like an actual hook, like the opening packs aspect and trying to get like all these cards, and then obviously running the shop and expanding and getting people to play in there. And there was like a whole tournament aspect they were looking to implement or something like that, which seemed neat. There's a lot of things they could do, and I'm curious to see. It definitely is. It actually has a hook, which is something, instead of just like, oh yeah, you sell clothes. It's like, okay, great. I guess I sell clothes. Yeah. This one's you
make plain burger.
Yeah. Yes, fast food. Well, listen, a lot goes into making that plain burger, Julian. Let me tell you.
So I found this from HoloLive, and I found it interesting, because I'm now subscribed to like multiple HoloLive members, and occasionally like a game comes along where like everybody has to play it, right? And this was one of those, and I wonder if those games get kind of a bump in sales because of that. Because
it's possible.
Yeah, like, for like Space Marine 2 like swept over like some of the girls for a bit, and then recently was TCG Card Shop Simulator, and the most recent one is Liar's Bar, I think.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. Liar's Den, or something like that. Yeah, Liar's Bar. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
It seems, like I said, it seems neat. it was funny. It was a tough stream for me to do because I was like, actually, there was so many tasks going on, like giving people change, and then like, okay, I got to open these packs. That is one of the big complaints I had while I was opening packs. I kind of wish they would just stop time for a little bit and just let me fucking open it. Cause like, I get there's a management aspect to it, like, and it's like, oh yeah, I got to do it while nobody's coming in or whatever, and trying to do that. But I kind of just wish that it would stop everything. I don't know why.
It also, you know, you have like a constant flood of customers throughout the day, and like, I would like it to be a little more realistic, where it's like there's downtime. Yeah. Right. Like, right. Because and also, you know, I would like a part where you got to clean. Right? Like, oh, like now is the time to like wipe down, you know, these cases or whatever, because, you know, there's nobody in the store right now and this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Because, it's like at Game Fellas, it was like, nobody's in the store. Time to clean these consoles and get them ready to sell.
In order to do that, they would have to slow down their time scale, probably maybe too much.
That's fair.
Which would be tough. That might actually be like overwhelming to add that part. They make up for you not being able to stop time while you're opening packs by just completely like stopping it at 9. Like once 9 o'clock hits, no more time. You can just sit there and like, okay, nobody's here. I can do this as much as I want, set up for the next day, and nothing's progressing. There's no hunger or sleep meter going on, so it's fine. So it's got a lot of potential. It's definitely one of the best of these that I've played. And like there's been a few times just by myself where I've been sitting here like, you know, I could play that again. But I'm kind of consigned to wait and see where that one goes a little bit. Yeah. It's one I'm going to keep track of for sure. Nice. What else did I play? Unless you want to go around to other people and do one game at a time. I don't know how you want to do it today, Julian. Are you feeling wild or
I'm feeling wild.
Okay,
Addie,
let's feel wild.
What have you been up to? Like that. Any, you know, it doesn't even have to be a game necessarily. Like just like anything.
I'm always playing games.
There you go.
You actually are. I see you pop up on Steam all the time. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah, especially at night because when I'm not working anyway.
Right.
I booted up Balatro again yesterday.
Hell yeah.
Because Justin convinced me to buy Balatro in an early episode.
It's great.
And I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. And then it's like similar to Slay the Spire and Monster Train, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love those games. Okay. Yep. So yeah, I've had a really good time with that so far. Bought the mobile version because I don't like being productive.
Guess what I did? I also bought the mobile version like 2 days ago because I was sitting here. You know what happened is it was late at night and I couldn't sleep, and there's alcohol in my house, and I was like, you know what? It's been a while. Let's just get drunk. Let's just and for me that's like
you bought mobile Balatro.
I bought mobile Balatro while drunk and was like, this was a good decision. And I've been booting it up still. Like I'm laying in bed today. I'm like, I got YouTube on and I'm playing Balatro. This is pretty all right. Yeah, it's pretty good.
And it doesn't like, you know, I thought I would be pissy because it doesn't sync with Steam, right? So you're just starting from scratch. You're just playing a completely different version of it. But I'm like, no, that's fine. I'll just do it over again.
I've started it over. Like first played it on Steam because that was the only place it was. Yeah. Then it came out on Xbox, and I was like, well, I'm going to buy it on Xbox. Why not? Because I'm on here a lot. At the time, I was on there a lot. So why not do it? And now I'm like, yeah, no, you know, I have a lot of downtime when I'm just, you know, at work and stuff. I should just buy this. And now I'm sitting here laying around. Oh, it's an addicting fucking game, man. Yeah.
I played it a bunch right after I first bought it. And then I stopped for a little bit because I was just playing other things. Right. And then yesterday, my brother booted it up out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, I knew it was gonna get you.
Yeah.
He's like, it's on sale, and I'm like, even better. It's even
hell
better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't really talked to him about how he's enjoying it or anything, but it's very, very good.
It's a very good video game.
It's a very like up my alley kind of game. I tend to have like two modes. One is like mindless run based brain rot, and the other is heavy like dramatic, story rich, like
Right there with you. Yep.
Low combat.
Right there with you. Yep.
That's my 2 modes. But honestly, the thing that I've been playing probably the most while I'm working is the Pokemon trading card game.
All right.
The mobile one
online. Yeah.
I put real money in it, and I'm a little ashamed of myself.
Over.
Yeah.
Hey, don't feel too bad. Listen, the other thing that I did while drinking was download Magic the Gathering Arena again and immediately start. And they gave me a bunch of free stuff because I hadn't been on there in forever, and I was like, I'm probably gonna end up spending money on this, aren't I? Because I'm already looking at the next set. Like I was like, I already got some of these fucking cards. I don't even need those cards, but. It's like
sometimes I see an ad for Marvel Strike Force and they've added a new character and I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, I can never go back. I spent so much goddamn money on Marvel Strike Force.
I spent a bunch of money on Marvel Snap. Like a bunch of money on Marvel Snap.
I believe it.
God. That's how they get you. I mean, honestly, like even just like buying the Marvel Snap was so bad for this. Buying like the variant card art. Like, just putting money into it so you can get, like, the different card arts because the fucking card art in that was so good.
Yeah, and they'd have too.
And then they'd have artists who are doing a bunch of, like, different characters, and you're like, I gotta get all the ones from this artist because it's my favorite artist, and now I gotta get all of the ones that they did.
Oh, Magic the Gathering at one point was like, hey, here's some card variants that Amano did. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm gonna get all of these. What am I crazy? And now they're coming out with a Final Fantasy set. I was like, well, I'm back.
I have a friend at work who is big into Magic and has been for a while. He does like tournaments every Saturday and stuff.
I used to be there. Yep.
I haven't played Magic since 2003, but he keeps talking to me about it. I'm just like, you're awakening a crazy beast, that I can't afford right now.
The only good thing about Magic is it never changes too much.
Yeah.
That's the one, like, because it's one of those games that I learned as a kid, spent 10 years of my life not touching it again, and then got right back into it when, like, somebody I knew at work was basically doing what's happening to you right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, yeah, I remember how to play it. Let me see if I can I actually have money to spend on this. Let's see what I can do with that. And then got way into it. And now every time I get back into it, I start looking at the cards. I was like, okay, yeah, I get everything that's happening here. There's something about like any skill that you picked up from before, like kind of never goes away. It's still the same game for the most part, which is kind of nice.
That is really nice because that's I think one of the things that turned me off of Hearthstone ultimately is that like as they would come out with expansions, like the mechanics of the game would like fundamentally change, and it would get to the point of like if you put it down long enough, it's like, well, I don't even know how to play this anymore at all. So I guess I'm out.
Don't get me wrong. There's like new stuff that'll happen. Like every set has its gimmick and stuff like that. But like usually it's real easy to pick up. Be like, oh, okay, you have it used against you one or two times in a certain way, or you do it, messing around, and you're like, oh, okay, I see how this works now. Okay, got it. And instantly you're back. It's kind of relaxing in that way. That's kind of why. It is kind of a comfort food game for me, which is why I was like, I do have enough gold from whatever the last time I was playing this that I could just jump into a draft, but I don't know the set too well, and that's a whole thing. It's bad, but yeah.
I mean, I think from like a game design perspective, it's what the ideal is that you want the new things that come out to break the meta and not break the fundamental like way that the game operates so that everybody's confused.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think a lot of times they get it wrong. And not Magic specifically, but just generally a lot of times they get it wrong.
Magic's biggest problem for a while has been the insane power creep that has happened. Like that's been a big thing forever. There was one set that came out a couple years back when I was playing. There was this one card that came out. I forgot his name. It was a Planeswalker, blue-green Planeswalker, 3 mana. Did a food token. It doesn't matter. It was insane how much like it would hit the battlefield and you're like, well, we're fucked. Like it was that bad that like it's banned in every format, I believe. That's how insanely powerful it was. But you're like And that was just like a slow, like that was one where people were like, oh man. And like now I read cards and there's a thing that's coming out in Foundations or whatever, the next set that's coming out. And I read it and I was like, that used to be like an enchantment and now it's just attached to a fucking creature. That's insane. Like that, this shouldn't exist. Like, and it's anyway, it's too in the weeds, but yeah.
Matt Jorgensen is like just doing the good right now listening to this.
I know. He's the only one that I can talk about what colors Cloud Strife would be.
Yeah.
It's the only one, Julian.
Oh.
What do you think? Oh, okay.
Blue, because his outfit is blue.
That's fascinating.
But he's not that intellectual. He's not really an intellectual guy, though.
You told me like what some of the colors represented, and
I think
whatever would be like if.
Oh
no.
The Phantom returns 2 weeks in a row to destroy your stupid little show. Pretty lady. Who is this? Addie. 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 The Phantom must contemplate. He fucking struck again.
He got you.
God damn it. We got to do something about this,
He was upset about what color Cloud Strife would be, and he stepped in. What are you going to do?
That was a really good way of like getting us right back to where we were. I'm impressed.
Sometimes
I 100% forgot.
Sometimes I'm good at what I do. Sometimes I'm good at what I do, guys. I don't know. Every now and then, not all the time. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, is there a color that would kind of represent like either A, aloofness, or B, confusion? Because that would be like ultimately what his color should be.
I think he'd be like he'd be a hybrid. He'd be like a blue black.
I think most of them would be hybrid.
I don't think black. Well, he could be. You can always do 3. He is edgy, but he's not evil though.
No.
See,
no, but he's edgy.
He does have a dark side. I always think like. Blue, I think blue is actually pretty accurate. Blue, it's kind of thinky. Maybe red, but he's not really a tech guy. He's not really that aggressive. Maybe white. Maybe might be blue white. Maybe blue white green. Might be a Bant guy.
Is he green?
Nah, he's not really nature.
Green's very like nature-y, right? So,
yeah. See, like Barrett is green red. Like solid green red.
Yeah.
From what you told me, that's definitely it.
Yeah. I think Aerith is green white, pretty solidly in my opinion.
Yes.
Man, Cloud is tough to pin down.
This is a great game. I love it.
Right?
This is a great thought experiment.
Addie, I did this for 8 hours one day, just sitting there welding taillights together and just being like, what color would this character be? I wonder.
So from what I've kind of gleaned from last weekend, Sid, I feel would be red. Like just straight up, because he's just like super aggro.
Blue-red. Blue-red, historically, Julian, blue-red is the color scheme for people into technology. They're the inventors and the tech guys. So they're it's called the Is It faction, the Ravnica term. They deal in the tech stuff and like mostly like it's guys with machines that shoot lightning and shit like that. But they're like the inventor color scheme. So probably blue-red. I have thought about him. Again, Cloud's always the toughest one to pin down. But yeah, oh man, it could be 3 colors too. You don't want to go. Go too nuts.
Is there like some sort of weird like omnicolor one? Because that I could see that fitting just because he's kind of like.
What do you mean by omnicolored?
Just like all of them.
Yeah, it can kind of shift between any
That'd
of them.
Be 5 colors.
Ill-defined, because like he's kind of ill-defined, right? Like, and I think that's. Because he ultimately thinks he's one thing, but he's very much a different thing.
Right.
It's like a colorless artifact deck.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. Oh man, but yes. Thinking of Magic the Gathering color schemes is the whole thing. I think I even went into Final Fantasy VI at one point. I think Kefka would be strictly Grixis color scheme, which is blue, black, red. Because that is the what was that guy's name? He has my favorite name in all of Magic. It's Nicol Bolas. But it's spelled like Nicole without the E, so I just called him Nicole Bolas all the time, which just sounds like a shitty white girl that just hates everything. And but they're this like big evil dragon that does stuff.
I think we've got a new character,
Nicole Bolas.
Yeah, I think she needs to show up.
I mean, are you gonna do that?
I don't know. We'll see.
You gonna do Nicole Bolas?
Maybe.
Okay. If you want to do Nicole Bolas, I mean, that's fine. She can show up for Magic the Gathering talk.
It's been a really long dry spell. I would absolutely do a Nicole Bolas.
All right. Well,
like
fair
sight
enough.
unseen.
Fair enough, Julian. We've already hit the Shasta McNasty button. We're past the point of no return at this point.
Yeah, Phantom already came. He sang his song. This is the point of no return.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a theater joke for you kids.
I got it. I was
excellent.
literally singing that song earlier in the shower.
So Addie, before the Phantom struck, you had mentioned that there was a bigger game that you were mostly playing at work, and then
I was playing. Well, I've been playing the Pokemon.
Yes.
Pokemon trading card game, and
that's how we got here.
I didn't. I at first I was like, I just want to open the packs. That's like literally all I want to do because I'm also a sucker for the RNG.
Yep.
But then I started getting into the battles, and I'm like, all right, okay, I like this. This is pretty good. So I've been enjoying it, and I'm like, and it obviously shows you like all of the slots of the cards that you don't have, and I'm like, okay, they know what they're doing because I'm just like, I gotta fill up all the spots. I want to have all. I gotta catch them all. It's really playing into that. Like I have, so I used to play Magic, but also before that I was into like collectible cards, like way back in like the mid 90s. So I had like the 1994 X-Men Fleer Ultra, like, all of that shit. And like my favorite thing to do was just put them all in order.
Right.
And my dad and my brother, who were also collecting cards, would be like, you do that. I don't know why you like it so much, but you do it. You put them all in order. And you'd have the ones that were like the 3-card panel where it's like all the extended card art across the 3 of them.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
And your cool binder, and you got your whole like little freaking card mural thing.
Oh, yeah.
And
there's that. I think it's that set because it's the one. Well, there's that X-Men set that's all Jim Lee art, like he did every single card. And there's that Danger Room 9-card image.
Yeah.
So when you have it in your binder, it's just you turn the page. It's like there's all the X-Men in the Danger Room, and it's like this one big image. It's so cool.
I remember I had the most rare card in the set that I had was this holographic Wolverine. Full hollow Wolverine.
I know the one.
And I got it in one of my packs, and I was so excited, and I put it in a little protector. Immediately. And then I hid it because my brother was so jealous of it that he was like threatening to take it. And then I am convinced that he stole it from me and lost it because I have no idea what happened to it.
Yeah.
But the likelihood is that I probably lost it.
Well, it happens.
Probably is that I put it somewhere to keep it safe and then forgot.
And then forgot where it was. Yep.
Yeah, because I do that all the time.
You were supposed to keep it secret and keep it safe. And
I failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gandalf is disappointed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just so excited because I was very young at the time.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, this is retails for like $50. And I'm like, $50? What? That's so much money. I've never seen so much money in my life.
Right.
But yeah, I've always loved that part of like collecting card stuff.
Me
where it's
too.
Just like, I'm gonna get the really cool one. I want to have the really cool one, and then I'm just gonna have it, and then everybody's gonna want it. Everyone's gonna get jealous of me because I'm gonna have the cool card. And
Right.
I was like that when I would build Magic decks and stuff too. I'd be like, oh, I gotta put this rare in here because I remember I had I'm gonna go on a Magic tangent. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I had
already
a
there.
green deck. I had a green deck that had a Forgotten Ancient, which is a card that puts a token. Oh god, I gotta remember. This is deep. Okay, it like every turn it like it can put a token from itself onto something else, and then or you pay. No, I think it's you pay a certain amount of mana, and you can move that many tokens off of Forgotten Ancient onto something else. And then I also had a card that was called Doubling Season, which anytime you put a token on a different card, you put 2 tokens on it. And
Commander favorite. Yep, I know Doubling Season very well. I'm trying to think of
so crazy.
I'm trying to see what set this was, Forgotten Ancient, because as soon as you said the name of it, I was like, that is very familiar sounding.
It's around the time of like, what was it called, Myrmidon or something?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't know if it was from that set, but it was from the same time period, that 2003 kind of time. I played green and I played white, and my white deck was all about anytime anybody does anything, I heal.
You life.
Did you play a red
yep.
spell? I healed. Did you play a blue spell? I healed. Did you play a creature? I healed.
There's a very popular deck called Soul Sisters that was green-white, where it was basically like you played a character or a card named Soul Warden. It was just a little 2-mana lady who sat there, and every time a creature entered the battlefield, you gained 1 life. So then you played a bunch of stuff that also, when it entered the battlefield, you gained 1 life, and then you start doing all this stuff. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
I would just have like 400 hit points and then just draw everybody out. And they're like, this is the most maddening way to play this game. And I'm
pretty much.
That's the game. Like the game is you build the deck that is the weirdest. It does like the weirdest, coolest thing. I don't care about, like, my brother used to build things that were like, he knew how to get me because he knows that if he makes a deck that's quick, he'll always beat me.
Oh yeah.
Because I always build decks that are like turtle.
Right.
Turtle strategy.
You're a control player, and you don't even know it yet. That's the whole thing. Oh man, people used to hate my fucking guts because so Forgotten Ancient's actually older. It is from Onslaught, which was I cannot remember what. As soon as I seen the symbol, I kind of remembered. Trying to see what fucking year Onslaught was, but of course this website is not going to tell me that. Great. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's got to be around 2003, 2004.
Yeah, it says yep, that would have been 2003. You got it, nailed it. Yep. That's I know I've seen this one before, and I don't remember where, but I know I've seen it. I doubt I have it anywhere. But yeah,
I was trying to find my favorite Doom Trooper card, but I can't think of the character's name, and I couldn't find it online because it wasn't a very popular card game. But I ran a Dark Legion deck, and he was like kind of a upper tier person in the Dark Legion, and the art was so cool because it was the first time that I'd ever seen the image of the dude on a throne with like, you know, like his head propped up like on his like hand in that weird like that not weird but that real like I know I'm better than you type of pose that it's like super ubiquitous. Like, and I was just like, oh man, and he had like his sword kind of, he was like real casually like draped over the throne. I was like, he's so cool. And I cannot remember the name of him, but I wanted to show it to you guys because the art was really good, but I can't find it. That's what I was doing.
My favorite Magic the Gathering card is Liliana of the Veil. That's my favorite one. It's a 3-mana planeswalker lady, and she's a cool looking goth girl. And she makes everybody discard and sacrifice creatures. That's pretty rad. Good. It's a pretty good card. I like it a lot. I owned one for about 20 minutes. and then somebody made me a trade offer for it that I couldn't refuse. And I still go, I should have just kept that fucking Liliana of the Veil. I don't know why I didn't do it. It was my favorite card.
She's the one that got away.
Yeah. It came out recently in a more recent set, and I've been thinking about just buying one just to have it. Or just buying one of the old ones. I wonder how much they own. Okay. All right. We got to stop talking about this. I'm going to start spending money for real. It's going to get really bad. We got to stop.
Let's pivot away from.
Anyway,
from
Pokemon cards sound great.
Yeah. Well, so the other thing that they have like they have some they have some characters that are like extra special versions of the character. So there's like a regular Pikachu. There's like a Pikachu EX that like has shinier holographic shit and has like different abilities and stuff. And then they also have cards that are like they're a full card art card that doesn't have any like the text panels or whatever. It's just the full card art. And I'm like,
right.
Oh, it's so pretty. And then sometimes you get ones of those that also play a little cinematic when you get them out of the pack, and it's very exciting.
That's actually pretty neat. Yeah, I noticed Marvel Snap kind of did some of that too, where they would kind of like, they realized like, oh, these aren't physical cards, so we can do neat stuff with them sometimes. Like, and that was the thing that got me into that I really liked about Hearthstone when you would play it is like, I had this, like, I think it was like a T-Rex card. And like when you would put it down, like you would hear it stomping like before it would be played. And then it would just like floomp land, like, with this like massive crater, like onto the playing field. It's like that does something. Like I really like that. When you play like Galactus on Snap, like it actually does like this mass, like a cutscene, like of him like destroying a planet. It's really cool.
It is really cool, except it's Galactus, and that card sucks. No, it's not. That card doesn't suck, and that's the problem.
I know the feeling.
Beats me, and then I get pissed. God damn it! It's Galactus again.
I have not gotten up too much this week because I have still been super depressed. And then I got a lot deeper depressed, come Tuesday night, with the election results. This is, we won't get too deep into it. Mainly because like I am not a smart man, and I talk about what I know, which is video games and comics and shit. I don't know enough about politics to really be able to talk intelligently about it. I do feel to my core that Donald Trump is a terrible human being. And I think that's the thing that I'm continually astonished at, is that people have seen him and heard him and somehow been like, yep, that's our guy. That's what this guy seems competent, and we, we are ascribing all of these semi-deity traits to this person who was literally the template for the bad guy in most of the media that I grew up watching.
I mean, yeah.
And so that has been really rough, and, haven't really and so, I tried to play Metaphor, and then I was like, ooh, the idea of playing a game where the whole concept is to try to stop this monstrous person that is running for office that somehow like people are super behind.
They're super into him, yeah.
Even though he has admitted to his crimes, doesn't feel real good right now. I don't really want to do that.
Maybe a little too much, like, yeah.
I don't know what to do. And Justin, you were playing Balatro that night, or the night after.
No, it was the night of. It was the night of.
Yeah, because I had not really been watching what was going on, and I was trying to shut my brain off. And you were playing Balatro, and I could tell, I was like, this game is too much for me. I can't tell what the fuck you're doing. But then I was like, oh, but Vampire Survivors, though.
There you go. Yeah.
So I fired up Vampire Survivors, and I was playing that with the sound turned off while I was watching you play Balatro, or listening to you play Balatro, because I had not gotten like I hadn't finished like base Vampire Survivors. I thought I got like, it's kind of hard to tell now because like it shows like all the achievements for all the expansions, even if you didn't have them. I thought that I basically had gotten stuck, and that's why I didn't go for it. And I finally was like, I'm just going to suck it up and look at a guide and see what I'm missing because I'm not getting it. And it ended up being just a thing where I thought that I had done a thing that I had not done.
Oh.
So that kind of like, once I did that, it kind of knocked the other dominoes into place.
Right.
But so I got what I think is like like the original like base like 1,000 points for Vampire Survivors, and I was like, cool. Now I can get the DLC.
Yeah.
And so I bought all the DLC.
You said that. I remember on the night of the stream, I was like, well, how's the DLC? And you're like, I just bought it all. So yeah.
and I'm decided to go in order. So I started with the first one they released, which is it's kind of neat because I had not really paid attention to how they had rolled the DLC out. I knew that they had added new characters and new weapons, and I was like, okay, so that just rolls into the regular game. But that's actually not how the DLC works.
Right.
You go to the Adventures tab, and it's actually like they're each self-contained, like they've got like story, right? There's
That's
actually
neat.
like it's not a lot of story, but like each level has like a description, and it's telling a story. And so this one is very like Japan themed, like feudal Japan.
Right.
And so like the first character, she's like a warrior. And actually they're doing really cool stuff with the level design because, you know, base Vampire Survivors is for the most part just like kind of scroll in any direction, you know, type of thing. Like there are certain hidden items in certain areas on the map, but for the most part, it's just like a big open field, and like each level is like a different big open field. But here it's like every level so far has been like a different spin on it. So the first level of the first DLC is basically you just are trying to survive for 1 minute against, I think, what is the final boss of the DLC. And you're like super ill prepared to do this, right? So you're really just running from this sucker and trying to level as best you can on the smaller enemies and just try to hold out. And then when you get to the minute, well, I think, no, you try to go as long as you can, but eventually he's just going to kill you. But then as long as you made it a minute, you unlock the next level. Then the DLC starts. And so you're going through and you have this character. And so far, the weapons have been very different from the base game. And I really have appreciated how they've been able to make so many characters all feel so different from each other, right? Like they all have different properties, even if they have like, you know, the same weapons that you're using that you can just pick up in the game. They use them slightly differently depending on what the character is. And also like, you know, they'll have these different buffs or debuffs depending on who they are. And so the first character, she's like really good on healing, but her weapon is very indirect. And a lot of the weapons in this DLC are very indirect weapons. So it becomes it's way more challenging because you can't really rely on, I want to kill these enemies in front of me, because you're not necessarily guaranteed that that's where the weapons are going to go.
Right.
So you're really kind of doing a lot more like juking and dodging around stuff, and then going back and picking up the experience gems and stuff. And you know, and also the evolutions are different. So like even so you're having like basically you're having to figure out evolutions again. Like it really does a good job of taking you kind of back to like, we know, you know, Vampire Survivors at this point, but we're still kind of taking you back to square one.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, because you even have to like rebuy like all of the like the
power-ups and stuff. Yeah.
And then there's unlock conditions for all the new characters and stuff like that. I'm about halfway through so far.
Cool.
And I'm really impressed with what they did. Oh, and also, Justin, the music in this expansion,
I believe it,
fucking great. Like,
yeah.
You know, we when we did Music of the Year last year on NWP, like we picked out a couple. Or was that last year? Might have been the year before.
I think it was the year before.
Yeah. We picked out a couple Vampire Survivors tracks we really liked. But I think for the most part, we were like, yeah, you know, it's fine.
It's pretty fine.
The
yeah.
music is fine. The music in this DLC is like
really
legit excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah. The last level I was on was giving me Octopath Traveler vibes.
All right.
In a pretty like last boss Octopath Traveler vibes.
All right.
I was impressed.
Nice. Okay.
And so I want to finish this DLC, and then the next one is the Among Us DLC, which like I've never played Among Us, so like I don't, but I think that one might be a little bit shorter. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's one before the Among Us DLC. but I'm really excited to get to the 2 Konami ones, like the Contra one and obviously the Castlevania one. But I'm saving that one for last.
For sure.
But yeah, it was kind of, and that turned out to be what I needed. So I played it like all that evening. I played it all Wednesday evening. And then Thursday evening, actually, my PS5 Pro came in, which I'll talk about later. But really, besides the PS5 Pro coming in, Vampire Survivors is all I got up to since last episode.
Oh yeah.
So Justin, tell us more about your.
Tell us more about my rip-roaring week of rip-roaringness.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, we'll do that. All right, what was the next night I played? I played UFO 50. That was a video game. Well, it's like 50 video games or something like that. I played that on stream. And I will start by saying I understand why people like that game as much as they do. The people that are into it seem very into it. But I don't think I give a shit about it.
That dude, I tuned in for that stream and I watched you play a couple games and I was like, oh, this is super not for me. And then I went back about my business.
yeah. It's really neat. Like it's really neat.
Yeah.
I really admire like what they're going for. I love that they like chose an aesthetic and they stuck to it. Like, you know, like if you were making a fake video game console and a bunch of games that came out for it, that's what, you know, these are what those games looked like or whatever. And they really went with that. But it's one of those things that I think if you're a lot more into retro games and stuff like that, you could probably find something that you'd be into here. Because there is a lot of stuff, and some of it's really neat, but I couldn't find anything to really latch onto. The one I got into was probably the dumbest one, and it was a game about parties. It was like it's time to start another party. So you have to invite people in and like basically, okay, this guy's trouble. So if you have too much trouble, the party has to stop because the cops will show up. So you can't have too much trouble. But if you have a hippie, they will erase trouble. And sometimes you have to earn money and popularity so that you can buy more people to come to your party. And it's like, this is really dumb.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What? That doesn't sound right. I don't think that's how parties work.
Yeah. Well, you popularity is kind of a currency. So you gain popularity and then you basically use it to like invite a monkey to your party. The monkeys are trouble though. So you got to be careful with them, you know, so you need more hippies to show up to negate the monkeys. And then you can have a driver that can go find, you know, other stuff that you need. And so I was like, okay, I can see the hook here. This is actually pretty all right. And I played it for a while and then I was like, oh, it has like a weird time limit. Ah, shit. I guess you have to do this. And I guess I thought I just had like infinite turns to get there's like a goal. You have to get enough popularity to get an alien or get 4 aliens. And then you have to get them all in one party. Like you have to get 4 aliens in the party. And I was like, okay, that'll take a little while, but I'm here for it. And then at some point I was like, oh, there's a time limit. So that adds an extra thing to it. I was like, that's kind of a neat one, but that was like the only one I got into. I'm trying to remember all the other ones. There was like Bushido Ball was kind of neat. It was kind of like, reminded me of Windjammers, but okay. Like you were a samurai and you hit a ball and like then it goes back and forth. Basically it's like ping pong, but your samurai is slicing at each other and like you can throw like shurikens and shit at the other person and like to really fuck them up, and everybody has their own little powers and stuff like that. Kind of, like I said, kind of Windjammers. And that one was neat. Other than that, though, like every one of them I played, I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, I see it. And then it very much reminded me of having a modded Xbox when I was a scumbag in my 20s and sitting there and going, all right, let me just play every NES game for like 2 minutes and see what's up with that. And that's kind of the enjoyment I got out of it, was just going through and play like, what's this thing? Oh yeah, I don't care about this. What's this thing? Oh yeah, I don't really care about this either. What's this thing? And, oh, this is kind of neat. And so I play it for like 20 minutes. All right, I'm over this. What's the next? It has that appeal to it. I definitely give it that. I can see
the 50 in the UFO 50 is the part that really gives me pause. Like if it was UFO 20, I would be a lot more on board. But that's too many for me to take a look at. I mean, understanding that some of them I'm only going to want to touch for like a minute, but even so, it's like, I don't know.
I mean, it is a lot, and I guess that's the appeal, though, right? Is like, it's almost like you're buying like like an emulator with a set of games for it, and that's definitely what they were going for, and they pulled that off.
Put like almost 100 hours into it at this point. He hasn't even played all the games yet.
I was playing stuff that he said he'd never seen before. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just clicking around, dude. I'm just playing stuff for like 2 minutes just to see what it is. A lot of it's neat. Some of it you're gonna play for 2 or 3 minutes and tune right the fuck out. I'll probably never boot it up again. But it's neat. I admire what it's going for, you know. But yeah, I
have a feeling we're gonna have a fight about that in about a month.
Well, that is the reason why I played it, because I was kind of getting I was like, all right, let me see if I can get into let me see what the hype's about here. And then I was instantly like, yeah, and now I'm with you. I'm like, yeah, we're going to fight about this, aren't we? Because I don't see it. But yeah.
The beauty of the deliberations.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Anyway, that's all about UFO 50. Would you like to hear more games that I played?
I would like to hear more.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I am watching the news on like in New Detroit, and I am clicking. Oh wait, no, sorry, wrong dystopia. I am watching the news about the bug hunts in Starship Troopers, and I'm clicking. I would like to know more.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's see. What else did I play? On stream, like I said, I played Balatro on one of them. That doesn't really matter. I need to click off of this Liliana the Veil that I definitely wasn't about to buy.
Justin is the epitome of the Wolverine looking at the picture of Jean from the animated series.
I'm probably going to buy that fucking card. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't even need it, but I want it. Just to say I have it. But it's actually kind of hard to find one of the like original Innistrad copies, which is the one I want. So, yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. I also played Shadows of Doubt for a little while on stream. The game that killed my PC a while back. That made me be like, oh yeah, it didn't kill my PC. It just made me go, oh yeah, this thing's old now. I'm gonna have to do something about this. That game is very interesting. It's a lot.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh boy, is it a lot.
I could not so quickly, because again, I was playing Vampire Survivors and I was looking down and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I kind of get the concept of this. And then within 10 minutes, I was like, there's so much shit going on all of a sudden.
Yeah. All right, so Shadows of Doubt is kind of a what do you use this voxel style graphics detective simulator, open world kind of immersive sim kind of a little bit.
Got immersive sim
for
vibes
sure
from it.
For sure. They kind of go, here is a murder, and I did in both instances. I basically did like the pre-set up scenario where they're like there's more that you can just randomly stumble upon, or they'll call you, I believe, or something like that, and it'll switch up. But this was like the introduction to what's going on murder scenario. So you basically get a phone call and you're in your apartment, and it just kind of tells you like, here's stuff and here's how the mechanics work, and this is now you're going to go here and there's going to be a dead body and you got to watch out for this stuff. And then you're scanning for fingerprints, and you can move the body around, and you're searching the body for clues, and you're finding all this stuff. And then you're basically have a little cork board that you're assigning stuff to. and tying all the stuff together, and that's a little bit better than the last time I played it. Like the threads didn't do that themselves. They wanted you to do it yourself all the time. And I was like, oh, this is a lot. Now it just is like, yeah, this is connected to this person. Don't worry about it. Now you know. I'm like, okay.
I like the way that the like certain cards would like basically fill in with information as you would learn things.
Yes.
That was cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a really neat game. It's a lot.
Everybody in there is very angry.
Oh, they're upset. They're really upset. They're not having a good day. No. I mean, all you do is you just show up and you're like, what's your name? And they're like, fuck off, man. Which is accurate, really. If somebody it's opened with that, like, what's your name? Like, fucking fuck you, man. What the hell?
But did I not see somebody open fire on you because you dropped a box in their vicinity?
No, I threw the box at them. Let's be fair.
Oh, okay. That's a different thing.
I threw the box at them.
You definitely deserve to die
I
for
definitely deserve to be shot for that. Yes. I think the first introduction to me getting aggroed by the NPCs was I threw a bottle of vodka at a store window because I was like, what'll happen if I do this? And then instantly a guy was just like, we're fucking fighting now. I don't know what you think this is. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess and then I ran away from him because I'm a coward.
You also had to run for a really long time.
Yeah.
He wanted you.
He wanted to beat my ass, man.
Yeah.
And then if you die, you wake up in the hospital. You can like break limbs and shit like that. It's neat. It's really neat. It's definitely for a specific type of person. You will know if you like that game. It seems a lot better than the first time I played it. Well, the first time I played it was like, I couldn't play it almost at all because my PC just could not handle all the stuff that's going on in it. It's not so much like the graphic style, right? It's the like, no, there's a million NPCs and they're all doing the different things. And yeah, my old computer was like, no, fuck this. We are not doing this today. Absolutely not. But it's a very interesting game. I don't think I'll play it ever again either, but it's neat. I have to give it credit for that. It's definitely, from the last time I booted it up when I got this computer and played it for, I don't know, 20 minutes, it seems like it's improved a lot. So that's to be commended, because I remember it being like barely functional on a controller. Like you could move around, you could do all the stuff you needed to do, but as soon as you went to a menu, you might as well light yourself on fire because you couldn't do anything. So you had to like switch to mouse to do all the corkboard stuff because it was just unmanageable. All that stuff felt a lot better this time. So credit to them. It's like it's not in early access anymore. So that's Shadows of Doubt. That's a game you can play. Do you want more?
I will not be playing it, but
I don't blame you. I probably will never play it again either, but it's neat.
I was overwhelmed just watching you.
Yeah, it's really tough to explain because there's so much going on and like there's so much you can do. Like there's a lot of scenarios where I feel like if I would have thought more about it, like, and tried to, cause you can solve the crime a number of ways. Like there's threads and stuff that'll lead you to different places and shit like that and different people to talk to. And that's a really neat aspect of it. But like, I'm dumb. So I need to be handheld and told where to go a lot of the time.
I really wanted to hold your hand last night, and the chat module did not load for me on Twitch.
Not unlike the next game I'm going to talk about, which is because we might as well. We're here now. Which was This Bed We Made, a game that Julian is very high on.
Yes.
That game's neat too. It is essentially a Nancy Drew game, with kind of like BioWare style dialogue stuff. And that's a neat combination of things to do. I'm awful at it. I'm fucking terrible at it. I to be fair, I'm not good at, listen, it puzzles and asking me to find things in the environment. The two things I am the worst at in video games, the actual worst at. I can't find shit for shit, and I don't like to think about stuff. So yeah, it didn't go well.
It was genuinely eye-opening.
Yeah.
Watching you try to get the combination to that safe in that guy's room.
Well, it was a little confusing because I think at some point it tells you that like, oh yeah, you can open the clues thing and it'll tell you what to do. But for some reason, I thought it was just going to be like, I was just going to find the combination. I don't know why I thought that. So I thought I was missing something and not like, oh, I need to actually solve a puzzle here. And once I figured out that there was a puzzle to solve, I was like, let me look through absolutely everything. Then I was like, oh, okay, I'm just dumb. And that's fine.
That's even more interesting. Yeah, I thought you were just like, you understood that you were needing to piece together the information and just were piecing it together in the wrong way.
Eventually I did. I was like, okay, but what am I trying to piece together? I couldn't figure it out because I missed what the hint. Because it's right there once you see it, but I didn't see it. So I just stumbled around and didn't know what to do. Had I not been on stream, I probably would have just quit the game right there and been like, that game sucked. What the fuck? Like, I'm not going to lie. And then later on, I had trouble finding a vent. And I definitely didn't look up where to find it after I went to have a cigarette. Definitely didn't do that. I found it all on my own because vents are fucking awful. I hate vents now. I hate them. Shadows of Doubt had a lot of vents too. Didn't like those vents either.
I mean, look, like an immersive sim is going to have vents. Like it's like that's like part of the genre. Like, you're gonna crawl through this vent, or you're gonna go through.
We're gonna be crawling through vents for years and years, and that's fine.
Yeah. I'm actually curious because I didn't get to watch much of this, but I think I left for a little bit and I came back and I saw you with the safe, and then I was actually in the process of downloading games for my PlayStation, and they were going really slow, and I thought maybe the stream bandwidth was like kind of taking that up, so I closed the stream. But I'm curious what you thought of the lady at the front desk. You did laugh at like one of the things she said, because I think she's like one of the best like parts of that game, because she is so quintessentially like old Hollywood, like in the way that she looks and talks.
She's neat. The characters all seem pretty okay. For the most part, at least I've only really met two, and then there was one crying in a bathroom, and then you kind of hear rumors about some other girl that's having stuff. She was pretty good though. I like their back and forth. She's kind of definitely a good, like almost like a sidekick kind of character to some degree. She's neat.
If you choose, there's like two characters that can kind of be like
your
confidant.
It did kind of seem that way. Like I could talk to the other guy too, and I was like, I'm not really interested in that guy, so I'm gonna go this route. But yeah, they're pretty neat. The one thing I'm not sure I like about that game is I know it's an indie game, but the look of it is really kind of weird. I don't know what else you could do for something like that. I don't know how to explain it. Like instantly, like the opening cutscene, there's just a man walking. And as soon as I seen him walking, I was like, boy, that dude is sure is walking. I mean, he's trying his fucking best, but man, it looks uncomfortable to be him.
Well, it was the 50s. Everybody was like a lot more buttoned up all the time.
I think it's because they're shooting high, right? They're shooting for like I said, BioWare style dialogue. So you're going for like the more like Mass Effect, BioWare type feel, right? Where the faces are animated and doing all this stuff, but they don't quite have either the tech expertise or just the tech in general or the budget or whatever to really, do that sort of thing, but they're still trying their best. So everything kind of animates a little weird and awkwardly. And I don't know, it just kind of throws me off. They did the best with what they could, but like, I don't know.
I felt that like it looked, like it looked as good as it could for what it needed to do. Like I think especially the environments are like really great and really like capture the time. But like also like the faces are kind of just slightly stylized in a way that I really like.
They're not bad. Like I said, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I think it's not so much the graphics themselves. It's more the way they all animate is just like, it almost feels like they're like moving dolls, which is like kind of weird to me. I don't know. There's something about it that I wasn't quite into.
It has. I think I had mentioned this when I talked about it. It feels like a launch era, like PS4.
Yeah, I could see that.
They could kind of straddle the 7th
I
and
could
8th
see that
gen.
for sure.
Like you could see that it would release on PS3 as well, like at the time, type of thing. But it worked for me, and I think part of it was this is very indie, obviously, right?
Oh,
like
for sure.
Slight.
I know what they were going for, and it's not a nail in the coffin for me by any stretch. In fact, I kind of might play it again next time I stream, which will probably have already happened by the time people hear this, but whatever. If
you don't continue with it, I would recommend watching a playthrough of it, because I do find the story very interesting.
I remember I watched a little. I remember watching it up to the point of kind of where they solved the first puzzle, but it had been a year or so since I'd seen it, so I forgot everything, everything I played. And then I remember falling asleep and waking up at some point, and a different video was playing. So I don't think it's that long of a game. Could be wrong, but it's neat. I'm thinking about continuing it. I'm awful at those kind of games, though. God, I'm so bad at them. I'm so bad at puzzles. Although I was pretty good at the Wheel of Fortune one. I give myself credit there. Also, when I definitely wasn't outside looking things up for that video game, I definitely didn't also see that there was a bunch of stuff that I was supposed to do in the locker room that I didn't do. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's one of the coolest things about that
which
game,
I think is neat. That is neat.
Did you cause the bell or the bellhop guy to slip and fall?
No, I cleaned the spill up because I didn't even think about it. It was just there, and I was like, well, I'm into cleaning stuff now, so let's just do this. Because they do a good job of kind of poking at that stuff where they're like, yeah, there's a leak over here. Yeah, of course it overflowed because it's just buckets. So yeah, I guess I have a mop. Fuck it. Yeah. I'll clean it up.
I had already put the mop away, and I was like, well, I already put the mop away. They have a sign up. It seems fine. And then I got into the elevator, and he was like, oh, stop the elevator. Sorry, I just slipped and fell. There was this puddle there. I was like, oh, shit.
Interesting. That's fun.
There's just little things like that. And there are characters that will straight up get fired depending on what you do or don't do.
I can already tell that's sort of a thing going forward, which is that shit's really cool. They do a really good job with they even explain it right off the bat, the things you don't do matter. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm constant, even when I'm in the hotel rooms, going through stuff, I'm like, well, should I put this back? Because I don't want them to know that I've been going through their stuff, right? So I'm constantly I have the option to throw out a lot of shit that's really kind of weird and creepy, but I don't know if I should do that, because if they come back, then they're going to be like, well, somebody came in here and threw all the shit out. And
I really wish that I had thrown that shit out.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's still time for me, so I can go back and throw that shit out, Julian.
Yeah. And I think and it's very much a game where they want you to kind of experience it multiple ways. There's a lot of different endings and a lot of different permutations of said endings, which is neat. And it's not a super long game either. I want to say I probably spent 6 hours on it or something like that.
Right.
So and I had thought about going back and redoing it a couple times, but I was like, it, especially with it being a last year release, as we're getting closer and closer to recording our game of the year stuff, it's no, I need to start wrapping other stuff up.
Yeah. But in conclusion, this bed we made, it's really neat. That is a really neat game. Really good idea.
Yeah, glad you checked it out.
I'm just bad at Nancy Drew games. God, they even have the quintessential Nancy Drew puzzle, which is the torn pieces of paper and put them all together. I swear to God, it's in every one of those games. It never fails. But yeah, it's really neat. That's a good idea for a video game. Am I still going, or does anybody else got stuff? Because all I got.
Addie, did you have anything else that you wanted to hit up?
I mean, I can talk about more things.
By all means, yeah.
By all means, yeah.
I'm in my first playthrough of Persona 4 Golden, which is the first Persona game I've ever played.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I that's been really interesting, but I don't know. I'm a little on the fence about some of it, but probably most of it being things that aren't aging well or whatever, or just some weird Yosuke being creepy.
Yeah, I do kind of recall something about that at some point. Yeah,
but I am enjoying it. I've heard a lot about the games. Kind of was put on my radar when 3 came out, and then there was the whole hullabaloo of like they summon their personas by shooting themselves in the head, and I'm like, what? Okay.
I had to play it when I heard about that. I was like, I gotta know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I always found that to be really intriguing, but
it is the most My Chemical Romance shit in the world, and I'm here for it. It's great.
How do they summon them in 4?
I can't remember.
They just do. They just summon them. It's not like it's like a little, I don't know, they just kind of say persona or the name of the persona, and then I don't know, it's just very much like a kind of traditional summon.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been a long time since I played it, so yeah. And I didn't play it like the whole way through. I played like up to like the end of the tutorial and was like, I'll come back to this, and then I just haven't yet. So
yeah, because when they first summon their persona in 5, they rip the mask off with the blood coming off, and then metaphor, they rip their heart out of their chest, and it's like, okay, so this is just a thing.
Yes,
with
and then 4 is just like in the middle, they're just being like, nah.
Yeah, just do it.
We can do this now.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, that's yeah. No, there's some weird stuff happening in the story right now with some of the characters in terms of like just like, okay, where is this going? Like particularly with Teddy, and I'm just like, okay, what?
Yeah,
I've heard Teddy's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. It's the his dynamic is kind of weird, but I don't know. I'm trying to get through it and then kind of like form my opinion at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is that usually what will grab me in a game is kind of story forward, but for Persona it's been like just getting back into an RPG, like a kind of classic RPG that I haven't played in a long time. Just like having a little battle menu and being like, I'm going to do this now. And
right.
Just like queuing it up and then watching the animation and stuff. I'm just like, oh, okay. I remember this being very satisfying and I haven't done it in a really long time. So that's been an interesting one.
Hell yeah.
The other thing that I've been playing, and this is probably the last thing I'll talk about.
Okay.
I think this is the only thing I've been playing recently. Although I will, if we want to talk about things I've played this year, okay.
Yeah.
We can do that too. Because I've played Control and I played The Last of Us and I've played a lot of big stuff that I hadn't played before.
Right on.
But what I'm really into this week is Crime Scene Cleaner.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I played that on a stream a while back. Yeah.
Which is very fun. Like I'm spending a stupid amount of time on it. Like I literally these couple nights that I've been off from work, I've just been like putting 6-7 hours straight into Crime Scene Cleaner while watching YouTube. And I'm just like, I don't understand why I like it so much. It's just one of those things. But I mean, I guess I'm into like true crime and stuff like that. So
right.
I'm not against blood and gore and
I think the
and
most
all that stuff.
Interesting aspect of that is they took like, your common idea of like, here's a like almost power wash simulator cleaning type thing, and then added like story bits to it, which I thought was really cool, Like
Well, I mean, I think the other thing is that like when all of those kinds of games came out, like when Power Wash Simulator and all those games came out, I'm like, how come they don't have a game that's like the people who go in after a crime, and clean up the crime scene? Like that would be really cool.
Yeah,
and this is the closest thing
Pretty
to
much.
that. It's got a little bit of the bent to it, where it's like you are involved.
Yes,
you are involved in the crime.
Right.
But yeah, it's very cool and very satisfying. And there's the little the like robot thing, the upgrade that is like Sonic. It does some sort of like Sonic thing where it like decreases the strength of the stains over time when you run it. It's like some little machine, and you can change the voices on it. And there's this little Japanese girl who's like, "Okay, I'm cleaning."
That was not a thing.
So fucking
that was
cute.
not a thing when I played it. So that sounds awesome, actually.
So cute.
Yeah.
So the first couple of voices are just like generic robot voices, and then I just kept clicking through, and then it's this little like a cute like anime girl kind of voice, and I'm just like, yeah, that one. I want that one to tell me about when all the blood's clean.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very fun. But yeah, that's how I've been killing a lot of my time and staying up late.
Hell yeah.
Lately is cleaning crime scenes.
Why not?
It's fun. Yeah.
Watching Justin on that stream when he was playing it, I was like, my dude, I know that like neither of us have been diagnosed with like a form of ADHD or anything like that, but this is making a really strong case right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Yeah. I know. I'm aware. Trust me. I'm not good at it.
Just the constant refocusing, like I'm in the middle of doing this. Let me go watch this. My mom,
well,
and then on the way back.
I get bored
it didn't
of
seem
doing.
Like you were getting bored. It seemed like you would legit forget what you had been doing like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
earlier.
that's kind of true. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. Listen, it's a lot to stream them.
Yeah, it's also like you don't know how. There's sometimes, especially in some of those maps, it's like you just don't know where to start. It's like there's so many ways. Okay, as someone with admittedly ADHD.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like. Okay, I'm entering in and there's like, okay, here's the task.
Right.
It's a lot, right? It's actually a bunch of tasks
right.
all wrapped up in one. And so then you're like, okay, do you clean one room completely? Or do you go around and like pick up all the trash or through all of the rooms?
Right.
And then do you start cleaning the blood? Wait a minute. You don't want to hold on, because if you clean all the trash in all the rooms, then you're going to walk through all the blood, and then you're just making more blood for you to clean up.
Yep.
And then so it's like there's like these pieces that that complicate it.
And you're always I kept getting worried about like, okay, like they do a thing where like they'll present you like this is what you're cleaning up, but then slowly you uncover like more and more of it, and you're like, oh, there's also these other little rooms back here that I didn't know about in this whole attic, and now I have to go, oh, and there's a dead, okay, all right, I gotta clean all this up now. So like it's constantly like switching. Yeah. It's something. It's something.
And then it's like, where do you put all of the garbage bags from the one room at the end of the room? Do you go take all the garbage bags and put them all next to like the door right away? Do you take them all the way to the car? Do you take the bodies all the way to the car? Or do you like pile them somewhere? That feels weird because you can also throw the bodies, and that feels weird.
If you're
but it's
like
also
me,
funny.
Yeah, if you're like me, you're trying to in your brain while you're doing it, trying to think of the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
But that's fucking you up more because then you forget what's going on. But you're trying to like streamline it all somehow, but you can't. But like you would have to stop everything you're doing, and that would also take time that you don't. Oh my god, yeah, it's
more like you'd have to like case the entire map,
right?
Figure out exactly what's going on, and then analyze it and come up with some sort of detailed approach for how you were going to like execute the whole entire cleaning job. And it's like by that time you could just start start
doing random shit, and slowly it'll get done over time, you know. Yeah.
And then continuously knocking over the mop bucket over and over again for some reason.
Oh my god.
And wasting all of your detergent, and then just making more blood for you to clean up.
Yeah. Yep. It's a lot, Julian. It's a lot.
No, I think I got an achievement for how many times I knocked the bucket over.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and you know, I just keep coming back to, I kind of wish that there was like a slower ramp up to that game where it really feels like it's already starting at such a like ridiculous level of carnage like that you have to clean up, where I was like, this like the second level feels like it should be the last level to me. I don't know.
It's hard to say where it all goes.
No, it gets
No.
See, there you go. Yeah.
There becomes more. I think the
sure,
one I'm
yeah.
doing right now is like a literal party at a camp, like cabin in the woods type situation. Where there's
Jason was there.
multiple cabins and like it's.
Oh wow.
Oh boy.
That sounds.
Do you ever
interesting.
get to cut up bodies and dissolve them in lye?
It's referenced. I haven't gotten to a place where I have done that, but it is mentioned by a different character.
Yeah,
okay.
I imagine it probably is mentioned, but they don't really do that. They just have you throw the body bag in the dumpster and you take it wherever the hell it goes. I don't know.
Is it fucked up of me to say that would be cool?
No, I would want to be able to do that. Like that. That's why what I was getting
right.
at.
That'd be neat. That'd be neat.
Did either of you happen to see the Ariana Grande SNL sketch a couple of weeks ago? My best friend's house.
No,
I
it's
didn't.
like it's one of the funniest things that they've done in a couple years. And
okay,
like it starts out and it's like, oh God, what the fuck is this? But you got to stick with it, and then it's like, oh, that's brilliant, actually, and also very fucked up.
Right,
I really appreciated it.
Nice. All right. Well, what are we doing?
I guess I'll knock this out of the way because I don't have much to say yet. But my PlayStation 5 professional did come in yesterday. I am now a professional PlayStation player.
A professional PlayStation? Do you earn money for it?
I mean, kind of, because my wonderful co-host Justin Ham said, "Hey, man, like, why don't you just take like all that we have in the Patreon funds right now?"
Oh,
and I was like, "My dude, that is way too sweet."
Oh no, that's nothing.
So,
you do way too much work on this show, man. You deserve it. Julian deserved it. Everyone, trust me. Okay, just trust me on this.
As I told you via text, when we get the coffers back up to what I'm about to take out, I'm shoving it in your pants.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
But yeah, so it arrived yesterday, and I waited until after work, and I actually unboxed it on a break, and then because one thing I had not thought of, because it does not have a disk drive, and I knew that it didn't come with the vertical stand, and I was like, well, that's fine. I'm not gonna mount this vertically because I have heard about it's probably a bad idea to put your PS5's consoles vertically because of the liquid cooling inside. Like it'll pool at the bottom and not actually evenly distribute the way it's supposed to. So once I heard that, I had mine horizontal, but I was like, oh wait, how do you put this horizontally? Because like it's just like there's nothing on the side. It comes with these two tiny little like plastic doodads that kind of, like the fins, right? Like the grooves in the middle of the PS5 Pro. So on one side, the bottom side, like these two little, they're very thin and they just like clip in, and that is what's holding it up. That is it. It is the weirdest shit.
Okay, sure.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. It seems to do the job just fine, and I imagine once I put the disk drive in there, that'll give it a little bit more stability. But it feels like it shouldn't hold up the system, but somehow it does. I will say also, I was surprised at how much smaller the system is than the launch PS5. It's significantly smaller and lighter, and I kind of wasn't expecting that.
That's cool.
So. When I cleared out my previous PS5 before I gave it to my friends, I had backed up my profile and my save data, as well as Final Fantasy XIV, and for some reason Star Wars Outlaws, which I'm not sure why I did that, because I knew that I was going to be letting them borrow that, so I don't know why I kept that on there.
Well,
so it's actually pretty simple. I set up the PS5 Pro, turned it on and everything. I said, it wanted me to sign into PSN, and I said, I'll do that later, because I knew that I was going to, do the thing. So got into the options, put in the USB stick. What first thing that I'm a little disappointed in, there is no longer a traditional USB port on the front.
Oh, interesting.
there's 2 standard ones on the back, and now there's 2 USB-C ports on the front, which means there's two problems with that. One is that, so I use a USB keyboard for Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
And then there's the dongle, I like that word, for my headset, which is standard USB. And it's Bluetooth, and I'm wondering if that sticking out the back of my PS5 Pro is going to cause problems with, like, reception for my headset. So I'm worried about that, but also it means that I can't easily capture footage and transfer it to that USB drive for doing video content. So I was actually looking into USB-C.
I was just going to say
flash drives.
Yeah. Or you, I mean, if you really needed to, there's probably a USB, like an adapter type thing you could maybe look into. It might work. Sometimes I get leery about that shit, but might work.
Yeah.
I
did find some that have, like, it looks like a much faster, like, write speed. So it might be, because this is a pretty old flash drive as it is, but still kind of worth noting. But I was able to get my profile uploaded just fine. And of Final Fantasy 14 being fucking Final Fantasy 14, it was like, oh, we couldn't load this from your USB drive. It's like, of course not. Why would that work?
Why would they do that?
Like,
yeah.
The main thing that I wanted to transfer over so that I didn't have to sit through just like an ungodly download and patch time was the one thing that wouldn't transfer over.
I mean, come on.
No, yeah, I should have known. It's, like,
you should have known.
Yeah. Anyway, so, obviously digital only right now. My drive actually did arrive right before we started recording. So
nice. There you go.
But I was like, okay, what do I want to download to try to, like, take a look at this system? And so I downloaded Alan Wake 2 because I own that. I mean, that because they just released that, I think, physically recently. But, obviously last year it was only digital.
Okay.
So I downloaded that.
The deluxe edition was, I think, October 28th? No. Something like that. I was looking into it because I really want to play it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I haven't played it yet.
And I had got the deluxe edition, when I was like, I know, like, I'm not a big DLC guy, but I'm like, I'm going to play Alan Wake DLC.
Yeah.
So I downloaded that. I obviously, installed Final Fantasy 14, but I haven't looked at that yet. And then I also grabbed, I downloaded Dragon's Dogma 2 and Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor because I didn't realize this until right before the system came out, but there is a toggle that is just, hey, make my PS4 games look and run better. And it'll do its best to do that. It's sort of like what the Xbox One X would do there. It had like a kind of blanket, like for all the backwards compatible games, like without studios having to do like patches, the system would just kind of automatically upgrade those games a little bit. But then certain companies like CD Projekt Red went back and added like an upgraded patch for Witcher 3 and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But the big thing is that I was going through my library. I was like, what do I have digitally? And I was like, oh, I guess at some point I must have gotten Horizon Zero Dawn as like a PS Plus game because I definitely own it on disc. Yeah. But I also must have been like, oh, it'll be nice to have it digitally for whatever reason.
Right.
And I was like, okay, let me take a look at that one. And then as I went to go download it, it was like, they were like, hey, yo, it's only $10 if you want to upgrade it to the remaster. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to see that actually. Because and $10 is kind of what I had said that I'd be willing to pay for that anyway.
Yeah, if you have it already, that's not bad.
And I guess I could have done that with the disc also, but this was a thing of like, well, it's here now.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's what I did. So obviously the big question is, was it worth it? Can you tell the difference?
Yeah.
So the first thing I fired up was Alan Wake 2. And I thought that I was getting into the DLC, but actually what I had done was start New Game Plus.
Oh, okay.
So the game started over. And I will say it's already New Game Plus is interesting because it starts with a cutscene that has acknowledged the ending of the game.
Oh, that is pretty interesting. That's cool. Yeah.
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 So I think the naked man that you control at the very beginning he looked a little bit wetter.
Okay.
I think.
You think?
Kind of.
All right. Well, congratulations for the wet naked man,
Yeah.
hats off to him.
Yeah. And so then I didn't play it very long. And then so it took a really long time to get all this stuff like installed. But like last night, like around 12:30, Horizon was ready. And so I fired that up. That is a hell of a remaster.
Okay. All right, cool.
I was impressed. But here's the thing. I can't tell you if that's just the PS5 upgrade or if it's also because it's on the PS5 Pro.
Or if it's the remaster itself, right? Yeah.
Well, the remaster is the PS5 upgrade.
Right,
it's a PS5 version.
Okay, got you. Okay, I'm sorry, misunderstood.
Like it is a PS5 SKU. You can't play the remaster on PS4.
Oh no. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about it was a pro thing. Never mind.
Well, no, that's the thing. I can't tell you what
gotcha.
Is this more impressive because I'm playing on the PS4 Pro, or is it just am I wowed because it's just they did a really good job on this remaster?
I was right.
I can't tell you.
Gotcha.
I will also say that like for all Mark Cerny's talk about, we really don't like that people have to go through all of these different, like they have to choose between these modes. There's more modes now. It's making it more challenging to decide like what you want to do. And that's the thing that I don't like about the last couple of generations of consoles is like, that's why I play console games is I don't want to have to fiddle with options to like get the graphics looking the way that I want them to. I just want to play the game.
Yeah, for sure.
And I have a really nice TV. So like I set the options in the PS5 Pro to be like, yes, I want 120 hertz if it's available. Yes, I want variable refresh rate if it's available, like just kind of automatically do it if the game supports it because my TV supports it. Right. I did turn on today, like, on my lunch break, I was playing Zero Dawn and, I went through the settings again. I changed it to, whatever it was. I think that it got it to it's like the 120 hertz version. So it's like running like super smooth. And also the game looks incredible. And I gotta say, like, just, apropos of nothing, like divorced from the PS5 Pro, fucking love Horizon.
Yeah,
like I'm so in again. That game starts off so strong and
it is a great intro. Yeah.
It is. And now that I have the context for everything it's one of those games where I never want to spoil the story of Horizon Zero Dawn. I want people to experience it for themselves. But now knowing everything that I know and starting the game from the beginning and I'm like, oh, this hits very differently.
Right.
Also, I think also just because like the last time that I played it, we hadn't gone through the pandemic and
that's very true too. Yeah.
We weren't, like the planet itself was not on, we didn't have an actual expiration date yet. And now we do. So there's a very different feeling to that game. And I'm back on my photo mode bullshit. So like,
there you go, man.
Blue Sky, I'm very sorry, but, yeah, it's amazing. And they have done like a really good job with like making the NPCs look better. The eyes in particular for everybody look like amazing. I think the only like weird thing, and I think this was also a problem in Forbidden West, is that like whatever they did with hair physics, like sometimes Aloy's hair is just flipping out at weird moments, and like her hair is like clipping through her neck during cutscenes and stuff like that. And it's like whipping around.
Oh boy,
when it shouldn't be. Hopefully they're able to fix that with a patch, but it is highly distracting.
Yeah.
And then today I fired up Dragon's Dogma 2, and I'm like, yeah, I think that looks better.
Right.
Like, my character's armor seems like a lot shinier and more detailed than I remember, but I also barely played that game.
Sure.
I honestly think that a lot of this is going to come down to future games where I'm going to be like, new games are going to come out and it's going to be a thing where it's like, this looks incredible. And then I'm kind of have in the back of my mind, but also I'm aware that like, I'm getting a better experience with this because that definitely happened with my PS4 Pro where like a game would come out and it would be like, ooh, this is not apparently running very well on a base PS4. And I'm like, oh, I didn't have that problem. So,
right.
Yay me. I kind of had to know. And this is actually really good knowledge for next gen.
There you go.
Because I think we have reached it. I think we have reached the point where the upgrade is almost imperceptible to the human eye.
Very powerful.
We've been talking about this for a while, Justin, even on the old show, but like we're getting to a point where I think that the big improvements are going to be things that are more on a technical basis.
Yeah.
Like you know, like, I keep thinking about Star Wars Outlaws and how densely populated those areas are,
right?
In a way that I really haven't seen in open world games. That's the type of stuff that is just going to be like getting better and better that people don't really think about. But if they go back to an older game, they're like, oh, this game feels empty. Yeah. I don't know why that is. And because they've just gotten used to like what games can do. Same thing with like, you know, clothing and hair physics and stuff like that. Or, you know, characters realistically interacting with each other and also items, right? It's going to be stuff like that. It's not necessarily going to be capital G graphics.
Right.
And I think one thing that I'd forgotten to mention when I talked about pre-ordering the PS5 Pro is that this will stop me from getting a PlayStation 6 at launch, because I feel that, like, especially based on this generation, PS5 is probably going to continue. Like, there's going to be a lot of cross-gen games. Like, I think we're now at a point where developers, like the big three, cannot afford to say, this is the game that only runs on the new system and it's here at launch. I don't think they can do that anymore.
It's possible, but at the same time, they have to move the hardware somehow. So they probably would make one or two. There would probably be at least one or two that's like, no, it's only for this. Shut up.
Maybe, yeah, but I can wait on like one or two.
Oh yeah, games, absolutely. Right? You're right. Like their goal is to make those one or two games something you hopefully don't want to live without, right?
Right. I mean, the only way that this bites me in the ass is if like Final Fantasy 17 is a PS6 launch game and it's exclusive, because I have to continue my day one shenanigans
for sure.
But next gen, I'll be getting the next Xbox will probably be the thing that I'll get like at launch or near launch, and then this will be the one that kind of carries over, and I'll, you know, we'll see what happens. But also, this might be a thing where now that I know this, it's like there's not a guarantee that I buy the next Xbox at launch either. I might wait a year or two, because I'll probably feel that, especially with Xbox, right? Because they seem even less about generations at this point. So I can definitely see a scenario where I push a next gen upgrade down the road for a while, which I haven't done in a long time. Not since, because the Xbox 360 I bought about like, I think 4 months after launch. Yeah. And then the PS3 I bought like a couple years after it came out.
Right.
So, you know, I might be going back to that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You know, it's not that I'm disappointed, but it's definitely more of like this will be nice for later. Because you know, I am not, other than like Horizon Remaster, which looks phenomenal. But again, this system feels like it's for the Digital Foundry sickos, where like those types, those guys that have. Yeah. I think those guys have problems. You know, when I hear them talk about stuff, like I like to hear them talk about stuff, but I'm like, nobody cares about this. Nobody thinks about this. Like I don't know. Like I started to watch their PS5 Pro review, and like the beginning of it, like was like it got so in the weeds and nitty gritty so fast, and I was like, literally nobody will ever think about this.
Right.
Like can we talk about like what the actual games look like, please?
Right. Right.
But yeah, you know, and I have Monday and Tuesday off this weekend, so I'll have a lot more to say.
There you go.
Next week. You know, I did feel I played with Shadow of Mordor just for a little bit, and it did feel like it ran quite a bit smoother.
That's good.
And that became a problem because like it doesn't take much for me to be like, oh, Shadow of Mordor.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I grabbed an Uruk and I interrogated him for information about a captain, and then I stabbed him in the head, and I was like, ooh, and now I kind of want to go hunt down that captain. That game is just so addictive to me, and it's a goddamn crime that they patented that Nemesis system, and we'll probably never see another game use it, because I do not think that Monolith has ever released that Wonder Woman game. I don't think that we're ever.
Well, you know, yeah, probably not. I don't. It's hard to say. Yeah. It's hard to say though. I don't know. Depends.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's all I've got. That's it for me this week.
Well, I would like to propose something. Is it okay if we take a short break for Justin to go to the bathroom?
That's fine.
and do other things.
I could probably do that as well.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here like, whew, I'm gonna wait till Julian's done, and I'm gonna propose this break. All right. Let's do that, and then we'll be back.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, now that they're gone, we can really rap. That's me opening a Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. I've made some big swings to get some pretty big guests on the show, and I'm very anxious about it because I haven't heard back from any of them. And I understand they're busy people, so it's probably going to be a while. If I get a response at all. I would like a response, even if it's no, like, instead of just, like, nothing. Because that's the worst feeling. It's just not knowing. It also occurred to me that, like, people rarely ask me back on shows. And I'm starting to get, like, really self-conscious about it. Like, my feeling is that, like, other podcasters don't like me. I know that's not true. I know what you're saying in the comments right now. I know what you're going to say on Discord, but it doesn't stop the fact from me thinking it. And it's starting to fuck with my head. Like, just for example, I joked about it earlier in the episode, actually. I was on Soundtracker with Eric Peacock. We did a really good episode about the 1986 Transformers animated movie. And I bawled my eyes out on it because that's what I do when I talk about that movie. And I haven't been back. He said he wants me back, but I've never been back on, and I'm starting to get a complex over it. I don't know. I want to be on more shows. And I want people to bring Justin on more shows too. He should be on more podcasts. He should be like everywhere. I don't know. Just stream of consciousness from Julian's broken brain. I'm gonna have a sip of this Dr. Pepper now. Oh God, I spilled it over myself. That's awesome. We've got a pretty lady on the show, and I just spilled Dr. Pepper all over myself. That's cool. That's awesome. Good job, Julian. You are not cool until you pee your pants. Anybody? Classic Adam Sandler movies? Anybody? Isn't it funny how he did that movie, where he was dying of cancer, and the running joke was that the character had all these movie posters for these like terrible movies that showed like how off the rails his career had gone, and then Adam Sandler just kind of made that a reality. I think about that a lot. I mean, he got paid for it, right? Like he made a mint off of all of those disasters, but at a certain point, haven't you made enough money? And doesn't it become a point of like personal, professional pride that you kind of just want to do good work and not whatever you need for a paycheck? That's how I think I would be if I was like doing something like that. Like I think there would be a certain like, I'm better than this. And not even from a like an egotistical point, just like I want to make sure that like the stuff that I'm doing is good. And this isn't good. So maybe I'm not going to do that. Although he probably wrote some of those, didn't he? So maybe it's just that he's kind of lost his edge. That seems to happen a lot. They've been gone a really long time. I'm just going to be quiet for the rest of this and edit it. You won't know how long I sat here. It's fine. And we're back.
We're back.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing happened while y'all were gone. Definitely not. Everything's fine.
Okay. I believe it.
All right.
I'm sure it's fine. All right. Well, I
heard
guess
Dragon Age is fine.
It is decisively fine, Julian. Yeah, decisively fine. And I still feel pretty much the same way about that.
Oh, really? Okay. The impression that I got, on your streams this week is that you kind of got like super into it.
Well, here's the thing. It is decisively fine, but I like it. Like, I do like it. I'm getting, the more I'm going in it, the more I start to like it. It's definitely not, how to phrase it, the BioWare that maybe you once loved. That is kind of, gone. But
I mean, they've been gone,
exactly,
right, for years.
So holding it to that standard is like kind of unfair to it. Yeah. The one thing, so I really like how it's kind of structured, because it's way more character focused, it seems, like on like the party members individually and their bullshit going on, which I like, because it's like one major thing that it does is like the team starts infighting. Not to spoil anything, but the team kind of starts, there's rifts and so on and so forth. And so you got to bring everybody together. How do you do that? Solve all their problems for them, or help them solve their problems. So you're doing that. And by doing that, you're, learning their story and all that stuff, which is pretty good. And I've really liked, it's funny. My favorite character so far is the one that the worst type of people are all pissed about. Which I didn't realize until because I kept seeing, I was like, where's this shit people are complaining about? Like, the awful people on the internet are just fucking going on about this all the quote woke shit in this game. And I'm trying to find it, cause I'm like, I don't see anything that's problematic or would even draw the ire of these people. And then I met Tosh, and I was like, and slowly, and even when I met them, I was like, okay, I don't really see anything going on here. And then they start to get more into their story, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see it now, but they're still my favorite character. Like, they're by a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel that, like, if that's the character that the worst people on the internet are into, then we're probably going to be like, oh no, that's actually the best character.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, the complaint is like, well, they make their whole identity that they're non-binary, and I'm like, okay, like, that's a part of it, but like they're actually like, they're just this like kind of cool dragon hunter person, and they just do their thing, and oh my god, they remind me of me so much. It's kind of insane. Like, it really, I can't explain it other than you just have to see them for yourself. Like, yeah, it's kind of wild. They're great. They're by leaps and bounds my favorite so far, but the entire cast is kind of growing on me. There's a necromancer dude who's basically everything that's to do with them reminds me of like the Addams Family, like, a lot. And I'm kind of into the whole vibe that has going for it, as stupid and corny as it can be sometimes. Like, they just go in on it, and I'm here for it. It works for me.
And that's the thing, right? Is that even like Dragon Age Origins, right? Like, Shale is kind of stupid and corny, but he's also like one of the best characters in the game.
Right.
Right. And so it's like the series has always been able to, have that like super dark fantasy, deep political ramification type stuff, but also lighthearted, silly, fun stuff, right?
It's got a lot of lighthearted silliness going on, but at the same time, like, there is serious stuff. The complaints I have, and this is, comparing it to, even just other, because a lot of, newer developers and stuff like Larian, learned a lot from BioWare, you can tell, and Baldur's Gate and all that stuff. A lot of that is rubbed off on a lot of, other stuff. But like, a couple things, it doesn't feel like your character really has like, can ever have like a true mean streak, if you know what I mean. Like, in Mass Effect, you can be a real asshole, in Knights of the Old Republic, you can be flat out fucking evil. Right. In this one, it's kind of like, you can be more like authoritarian, I guess. Like they like there's a little soldier man with his hands on his hips for options where you can be kind of like, to the point, but it never feels like really mean spirited. At least that I've found. Like you're kind of always the good guy for the most part, which is fine because that's how I play anyway.
To me, like because I always kind of push back at people saying that like the renegade character is like capital E evil in Mass Effect, because I've always seen the renegade as like the by any means necessary,
for sure,
get it done type character. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they're still
they're still a good guy, right?
Yeah, they're still trying to do the good. They're trying to save, or they're trying to do whatever to do their job.
They're
right?
being a dick a lot of the time.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Like in this one, it doesn't feel like you can be kind of a dick, but not really ever like full blown dick, right? Like, and I kind of miss that.
You can be an asshole, but not 100% a dick,
right?
As Star-Lord would say,
right. The other thing is like outside of like one major decision in the game, like it doesn't feel like anything has like that big of ramifications so far. Like there's not like the big like, oh, I really botched this because I picked this option, but maybe it feels like those decisions are kind of few and far between, and I'm pretty late in the game so far, so maybe I'm wrong. There's definitely a lot of stuff with like Solus going on where like, and I do appreciate this aspect of when the dialogue changes, they tell you why it's different. Like they'll be like, because you picked this before, now he's saying this stuff, which I'm kind of like, oh, cool. That's actually good to know. I like that. And that's happened a few times, and I wish that would happen more, actually. I think that's a really cool aspect of it. The other big thing that I'm having a problem with, and I mentioned it last time, is the game just keeps on fucking crashing on me, and I cannot figure it out. Yeah. So they patched it. They patched it to fix crashes. And I was like, okay, cool. That's probably whatever my problem has been. That's probably going to shore it up a little bit for me. Cool. No problem. It is even worse now.
Oh God.
Yeah. I
have a question.
Sure.
Does that game have an independent launcher that is outside of Steam?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Because usually that's the freaking problem.
Yes. Usually, and in fact...
I had that with Cyberpunk for forever. I was like, why is my game crashing? And then I figured out how to like bypass it, and I was like, everything's fixed now.
Yeah, the CD Red thing launcher would mess stuff up sometimes. And I think that might be actually my problem. I think it might be eating a little bit too much, like just enough CPU to where it like spikes or something, and that's what causes it to go. And maybe I got to change. I'm praying that all I got to do is like change CPU priority or some bullshit, and it'll be okay. But I'm not 100% yet.
This is why I can never step into that realm.
I get it.
You bought a beast of a machine, and it should be able to handle anything that gets thrown at it right now.
So here's the fun part, right? Okay, so it updated, and like I said, it was supposed to fix crashes. I had before that turned some of the graphics settings down and turned some of it off, and it got it to be better, to where it would run for a while before it did it. And it'd be like, you'd rerun in like 3 or 4 hours, and something would happen and it'd crash, and you'd be like, okay, well, that's fine. I'll just, wait a little bit and then boot it back up or whatever. Not that big of a deal. I got plenty of time out of it before it did it. I've dealt with that with plenty of games when they do that. No big deal. So I got it to kind of a manageable state, and then they updated it. And now it's like every half hour, 45 minutes, where it's just like, boop, done. And the craziest part is you won't even be doing anything. I was standing still looking at something because I wasn't even doing anything. And like, it just crashed. I was like, okay, that's really weird. So weird. Yeah. So now I think I might have got it back to that manageable position by turning all the graphics stuff off and turning it all the way to potato settings, like on the lowest settings that I can. And now it runs. And this time I was like, this was like actually just today. I ran it for like, I don't know, 3 hours. And then I was like, okay, maybe I figured it out. And then it crashed again. I was like, okay, still not completely fixed. So I'm not sure what's going on, which is a bummer. But, if I was earlier in the game, I'd just be like, I'm just going to wait for a patch and not even engage in this. But I'm like, let me look at.
You got to be getting close, right?
Like, I am. Let's see. God damn it. Dragon Age of the Veilguard. There it is. I am. How many hours? 53.4. So, but I kept reading like it was like a 40-hour game. It feels a lot longer than that, especially if you're like, an RPG player that's like going to do the side quests and stuff like that. None of the side stuff feels like it's like that interesting outside of like the character specific ones, which there are a lot more of. There are a lot more like, hey, like we're just going to go have this conversation, just you and I in this random location or some stuff like that. And that stuff's pretty cool. I do like that. And I've come around to even characters that I wasn't super hot on when initially, like, I always call her Scout Harding. She will always be Scout Harding to me.
It's like when they have made toys of the original Transformers, but for new lines, but they don't have the rights to the names anymore. So Jazz is now Autobot Jazz.
Oh, come on.
And like, I can't stand it.
Yeah, come on. But yeah, like Scout Harding is I think she's just Lace Harding is her actual name, but I've come around to her a lot more. She's pretty nice. The one character that I was like, this character's a little annoying to me. Her name's Balara. I actually really like her now. I think she's really fun, and so I'm coming around to the entire cast a lot.
That's good.
Yeah, for sure. There are definitely ones that are hit and miss with me. Like Lucario can kind of just do whatever he wants. I don't really give a shit about that guy. I don't know what it is about him. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway,
kind of getting to your your thing with like kind of not being able to be like a 100% a dick to characters and stuff like that. You and I have talked about this over the years, and I knew it wasn't going to be this, but I was still kind of hoping it would.
Yeah.
I would love to see them take a swing again at like, yo, you can piss someone off enough that they just leave.
Yeah. There's, like I said, there's a decision early in the game that I thought kind of was going to lead to something like that. And then they kind of don't do it. And I'm like, I really wish you would lean into something like that a little bit more,
Yeah. I am forever haunted by, Alistair leaving my party in Dragon Age Origins and becoming a drunk in Dragon Age 2.
Yeah.
But Loghain was voiced by Kane from Legacy of Motherfucking Kane.
Right.
Like, it wasn't really a decision.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, no, I really wish they would lean into stuff like that more. I mean, Baldur's Gate did it with like you fucked around too much. People would just be like, yo, man, I'm out. You fucking up over here. I'm not doing this. I
hesitate to bring up Baldur's Gate 3 like in discussions with games, especially right now, because one, it's a really recent game, but two, it is such a I don't know if I don't want to take away from Larian. They had been honing their craft over the last 10, 15 years and, really put a lot of work into Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that particular thing that they did was 100% inspired by those previous BioWare games.
Oh yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, that's the thing is it almost feels like when I played Baldur's Gate 3, I was like, oh, this is what Dragon Age Origins could have been in a different, if they had a different trajectory for the way that they developed all of those Dragon Age games, this is what it could have been, because it had all of those same feelings that I all the things I loved about Dragon Age Origins were basically not necessarily perfected in Baldur's Gate 3, but really hitting their marks in Baldur's Gate 3, and that's why it's when I think about my experience with the Dragon Age franchise, I'm I don't think that I'm going to pick up Veilguard, because I I never played Inquisition. I've had it for a long time, and I've never picked it up because I was so disappointed by Awakenings, and I was so disappointed by 2, and I just was just, you know,
Awakenings. Yeah, thank you. That was because I was trying to remember, because I was like, there is something about a character in 2 that people really hated. I was trying to remember what it was, and it was Awakenings. It was what he does in there, and then he's also, you know, he does some really problematic shit in 2.
Yeah.
Or wait,
yeah.
Maybe I'm confusing those two.
I don't think so. I think you got it.
Yeah, because I think he does carry over into 2. Yeah.
But
yeah,
I
okay,
like
yeah.
my main problem with all like, oh God. My main problem with all like the whole way that has like that Dragon Age has gone is that it's like, okay, let's make the relationship building and the like interpersonal storytelling and like all the stuff that you do at camp, like let's water all that down,
right?
And instead give you a bunch more combat. Like let's make it. And I will say that they made the combat more satisfying in 2, but it was at the expense of the things that I found really interesting, which was all of that relationship building and all of that that story and lore and stuff. And it's only kept going in that direction as far as I can tell. I've heard Inquisition is good and fine, but I feel like after Origins, knowing that that's the trajectory that the franchise has taken, it just feels like anytime I'm going to boot up a Dragon Age game, I'm going to be disappointed and wish I was playing Dragon Age Origins.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inquisition is fascinating. It's not bad, but it's definitely, it's almost like watching like the ship start to like get a leak in it in the BioWare stuff, because like they made that game and like if I played it like a couple years back, like, you know, way after it kind of came out, and looking at it, you're like, oh yeah, this is where they started to go wrong. Like there's so many bugs that just pop up randomly and all this other shit. And like, this is where they got, you know, like this goes into, you know, Andromeda and all this other stuff. And you're like, okay, yeah, this is where it started to happen. But this game got praise, so they just kept going with it. And yeah, it was kind of the start of a lot of stuff. And Veilguard definitely hinges on you having at least some knowledge of Inquisition and the happenings and going on of it, especially with like Solus and all that shit. Which it sucks. Like I played Inquisition not knowing Solus was a thing. And then so getting to that was like, oh, that's kind of cool that they did. Like, that's kind of neat. I like that. That was kind of a fun thing for me, but everybody else apparently knew. And I was like, oh, okay, well, all right. I guess I'm the dumbass here.
But honestly, like, so, you know, I was thinking about this in editing, because what you had mentioned about, you know, you're like, oh, I know you don't like Solus, and a lot of this hinges on that. And my problem with Solus in what I played of Inquisition was that I found him to be boring as fuck. And part of that was his design, but a lot of that was just like every time that I would talk to him, I wanted to go to sleep. But knowing like where he ends up at the end of that game makes him a much more, because I've always wanted that in an RPG where like, you know, the person that you've been like fighting side by side with is actually the big bad.
Right.
Like you know, one of my, you know, I mean, everybody has their own idea for an RPG, but one of the ones that I always had was, you aren't playing the young chosen one in Prophecy, but you are the character kind of helping him to, you know, realize, you know, to you recognize him as the chosen one, and you're trying to be like the Obi-Wan to him. But then, oh shit, he was the chosen one for like the dark, like the bad side of the Prophecy, and you picked the wrong guy. And so the back half of the game is you having to go against like this person that you had been like literally like helping raise to this position. Like, I think that'd be really cool. And the Solus thing feels a lot like that. So I am interested in that part of the Veilguard. Like you know, it kind of goes back to my love of Ashley Williams, right? Is that, you know, people just write her off as like a terrible character because she's a not great person, like in Mass Effect. But I think that's what makes her an interesting character, right? Is that she's not a great person, but you also kind of get, as you get to know her, it's like there's reasons for her to be the way that she is,
right?
And you know, I think the only thing that they do a disservice with her is that like she never really gets that like understanding and like evolution of her character,
Right,
because they
right.
kind of just like, you know, as the series went on, they're like, oh yeah, no, she just you know, she's just
she's there.
spacist.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you know, I like that idea. It's just I forgot where I was going with that. God damn it.
Well, I mean, Solus in Inquisition, he's better the further the game goes. He is kind of really bland in the opening, and but eventually, like, you kind of hit a turning point with him, and it's usually like as you're going through like the side quests and stuff like that, and you start to notice like, why did he disapprove of that? And like, my favorite thing in Inquisition was like, I played an elf, and he's a god, elven god, and I didn't know that. And every step of the way, whenever it would come to anything elf related, I would just start arguing with him like all the time, because he would be he'd like, no, we should be so much more than this. This is ridiculous. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want, man? Like, and like not realizing who I'm arguing with. Right. And that that was, and then when you figure it out, you're like, oh, a lot of things make sense now. That's actually okay, cool. Like I always kind of wonder, if I wasn't playing an elf, how that would have, you know, went. So I may have accidentally stumbled on to like the best way to play Inquisition or some shit on accident. But yeah, he's fascinating.
And like, I'm more interested knowing that like, he's not necessarily just like the guy that you are trying to get to at the end of the game, but you're actually interacting with him throughout. I find that I find that much more appealing and interesting than just like, oh, well, we know that Solus is like the end goal, and we're just gonna, you know, like,
which is where I thought they were going, and then the way they go with it, I was kind of like, oh, this is actually kind of neat, because you don't quite know if you can actually trust him or what his end goal is, but like there's this bigger problem right now that you are all kind of in on, and maybe that's what he was trying to stop, but you're not really 100% sure, and like, he is the type of person that will solve the trolley problem by just lighting the trolley on fire and blowing it off the tracks, you know, like whatever, by whatever means necessary. It's something. It's something. I'm really curious where it's going to go. I guess the last thing I'll say is I've come around a little bit more on the combat.
I was just going to ask, because 50 hours in, I was wondering how you're finding it.
I turned the difficulty down on it because I was getting annoyed.
Okay.
But since I've done that, I found it a little bit more fun. It's honestly, it's kind of just the perfect game for the current situation. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very turn your brain off, press the buttons, and kill the things in front of you, which is kind of nice. It's the one complaint I read about the combat. I think a lot of it has to do with the class I picked, which I picked a mage, and immediately I'm like, I read somebody complaining. It's like, yeah, the mage dodge is just really weird. I'm like, okay, that's where a lot of my woes are coming from. Then it must be the class.
And so here's the thing. I feel that this is actually like retribution for me, because I picked a warrior on Inquisition and I was so fucking bored, because like a lot of the party members that you get like early on in Inquisition are ranged.
Yes.
And so they would just like take down enemies before I could even get into melee distance. And I was like, what am I even doing here, man? This sucks.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, oh, shoes on the other foot now.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I'm going to pick a warrior.
In Origins, like, if you picked mage, it was, the balance was way off. Like, if you picked warrior, you could just smash anything, and it was fairly easy, from what I can remember. But if you picked mage, it was like, everything was crazy hard up until you get to, like, the last final chapter piece of the game, and then you just melted everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was just like that, a total slog. And then you're just completely OP, and nobody, you just don't care about anything by the end.
Once I've hit my stride with the combat and stuff like that, I've come around to it a lot more. Like it's kind of like, I don't know. You do get some like tools to do stuff like, and they have like cool like combos, and they point them out to you every time you like hit the button to, you know, bring up all the abilities and shit. And there's quick keys and shit for that. Where I think you just hold the L trigger and you can, you know, press a button and it'll do a spell. But like, you can also, you know, bring up the old Mass Effect style radio menu, and it'll be like, hey, this combos with this, and like, so like one spell, like hold them, some ability somebody has will hold somebody in place while I launch a giant fucking orb of ice that explodes on them and stuff like that. And it's pretty cool. The dragon fights, like, even with me knocking the difficulty down a notch to easy, I think I'm on right now, or whatever they call that. Like, the dragon fights are still fucking hard. Like, they have like a few attacks where I'm just like, I can never get the timing right on this stupid thing. And it takes off a lot of good chunk of health. But like, you can set up your allies to where they have like healing spells. So you like, even with the potions like being limited and shit, you can stay in the fight pretty easily as long as you're not doing too crazy. There was one fight that took me a couple tries even on easy because it was tough. Like, it was really tough. But yeah, it's not too bad. And I like the way they do loot. As weird as this is gonna be,
No, that's
okay.
I would appreciate a game to do loot well.
Now, it's not perfect, Julian. It's not perfect. The thing is, you're not getting like a shitload of new stuff all the time. It's kind of limited, but the way you're doing it is like, okay, you open up a chest and like it'll be the same, an item that you already have, but the rarity will go up. So like, you're knocking things into like, it'll become epic and then legendary or whatever. And what that means is now that piece of equipment has a brand new ability tacked onto it. So it's even more powerful. So everything's kind of viable. And then you're kind of mixing and matching to get like the builds you want and stuff like that, which is like, I'm focused on like necrotic damage and shit like that now. So now I deal a bunch of like poison damage to people, and I get staggers really fast. And so I just bum rush people and then hit the right stick, and then it kills them off. And then I go to the next guy and do that stuff. And
okay, but so when you're getting an item, or when you're getting like that next tier of rarity from a chest, is it just automatically replacing what you have, or is it a separate?
Nope, it replaces weapon? What you have.
Huh.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about that. But I guess you're not necessarily like swapping equipment back and forth between party members. Are you?
No. It's all your equipment is exclusive to you. Like, and you're not getting like warrior stuff, but like, you do get stuff for your other party members, and that works the same way. They don't have that many swords or anything like that. I kind of like it personally. It's not bad. It's not, you don't have to sit there and manage it, if that makes sense. Like, you're not getting a bunch of useless swords that you're never going to use. Everything's viable, which I like.
I like that part of it.
Yeah.
But I think I do like, managing like a whole party's equipment. And, one of my minor complaints about Metaphor is that like there's pieces of armor where it's an either or situation. Like, you can only wear like a headpiece or boots or like you have like your body piece, and then you have your other armor piece, and then you have your accessory slot. And I'm like, But why couldn't we have like 3 armor pieces? Like, why can't I wear, head, body, and feet?
Yeah.
Or 4, and then gloves, right? Like, I want that level of
you don't have any of that here. You have
most games don't anymore.
Yeah, it's that. It's very modern, but like, I do appreciate the like, now like this one piece of equipment or whatever that I like for either the look or the abilities or something like that. I can make that get even more powerful or whatever, instead of being like, well, I got this other new thing that's slightly more powerful. I wish it looked like this or whatever. I don't know. It works for me. For me, I like it.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see where like it's definitely not like as advanced. It's made to be like, you're going to spend 2 minutes looking at this, and then you're going to move on with your life and go beat up more things, So
I mean, it still sounds like a step up from like Mass Effect 2 and 3 and Dragon Age 2. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
That's it. It's again, it's still decisively fine, I think.
Yeah.
I like it. It's like a solid 7.5. I'm having a good time with it. It's kind of the perfect game.
Like the right game at the right time.
Really, it really is. It is the amount of turn my brain off and go hit things with staffs is kind of fun. And with lighthearted hijinks with my party members, that's great. It's the perfect shit.
And I think it is heartening to know that this company is still capable of making a game like this, because I did not believe that they could.
Yeah.
Because it really felt like all of the brain trust that was responsible for all the games that we really love are long gone. And I was like, is there even anybody left that can do this?
And they probably are, but they at least know the assignment. A little bit. Yeah. And going forward, I think this is a good starting. I'm almost looking at it like it's a new company this is their first game, you know, like they took a beloved franchise and they're doing their take on it, and God bless them.
It's almost like Konami, right? Like all of a sudden Konami is like getting back into making games, and they're not. So Konami are not necessarily the ones making the games, right? Like they're getting like Western developers to make the games for them. But at the same time, it is like a new Konami because they've been gone from the game so long. And it's like, okay, let's see what they can do, right? Yeah. Silent Hill 2 appears to have been a step in the right direction. It seems like that Metal Gear Solid Delta is also going in the right direction. Be. Obviously, those are both remakes, but if it gets those studios, you know, understanding what it takes to make those types of games and then maybe making something better, right? Like, I know there was a quote going from Bloober Team, which was like, we're not going to make shitty games anymore, even though like the last shitty game we made was literally the game right before this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if making a Silent Hill 2 remake, like got them, they're like, oh, we understand now.
Yeah.
Right. Then, okay. Like maybe they learned what they needed to learn and they can move forward from that.
Possibly.
So,
yeah.
You know, we'll see. And the same thing with BioWare, right? It's like they haven't made one of these in a long time.
Yeah.
And this one was a very troubled development. You know, it was started and stopped and restarted multiple times.
It was like a multiplayer game at one point, wasn't it? Yeah. So I'm curious. It like I said, from what it's decisively fine. It's a good start for them. They may be headed in the right direction. I'll be curious when Mass Effect comes out, or like when they do, you know, a Mass Effect, how they handle that. So that's going to be.
If they resurrect Shepard, I swear.
People are way more protective about that franchise than they are Dragon Age. Like people, people like Dragon Age, but they love Mass Effect. So
I think it's because, like, at least in my experience, I loved Origins, right? But it didn't stand together as a series.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. And Mass Effect just was like the first 3 is just. I long have said that, like. I mean, I probably might not say it at this point, but for a long time I was saying that Dragon Age Origins was my favorite game.
Gotcha.
But Mass Effect was my favorite series.
Right.
No,
that makes sense. Absolutely.
It's like, you know, they're very similar experiences, and like, you know, if we're considering the breadth of all of Dragon Age, then I would say that, you know, Mass Effect is better. But
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Even with Andromeda in there, like it's still like kind of heads above, right? And and a big part of that is the fact that you had 3 games where you had ownership of a character and you got to see that character's story all the way through, and also decisions that carried all the way through that trilogy. Even in the third one, there's still like things where like I think that they do kind of blink at the last minute where they kind of like are like, we really want you to see all this stuff no matter what you decided beforehand, which is like, it's kind of a coward's way out, but
right.
We'll talk about, we actually have a thing planned. 60 is going to be very pleased.
Addie. Oh, there you go.
I'll tell you that.
Yay! But, I'm excited about that.
So yeah, people have that feeling of like ownership over that universe. But I don't think anybody wants more Shepard. They just want another series of games where you have that ownership. Yeah. And maybe with a character that isn't an insufferable piece of shit like Ryder is.
Right. Yeah.
A ride.
Yeah. Yep. Dragon Age is fine. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
I am getting more and more interested in playing it. I think I'm actually getting pretty close to the end of Metaphor, surprisingly, even though I'm at like the 50-hour mark, which seems short for a, Atlas RPG, but I think I'm actually getting relatively close to the end. So.
That's the kiss of death on those games, though. You haven't killed. They haven't introduced the fact that you need to kill God yet. So hold on. I hope that's not spoilers, because if it is, I'm definitely not there in that RPG. But I just know how they work. All right, they're just like, all of a sudden they're gonna be like, hey, hold on 1 second. Did you know, listen, God in this universe, real problem. You're going to have to kill him. All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Real problem.
That's your first act as king.
Yeah.
We really need you to fix this right now.
You're king now, but have you considered killing God? Have you considered it?
Well, Justin, I think that's really everything except for one last thing.
Okay.
I think he's in the building. Had you seen Sherwin today?
Yeah, no, I talked to him earlier. Do you wanna ask him something? You got a lot of paint questions on your mind?
We've got some questions for Sherwin.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess I'll go get him. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask Sherwin Williams.
Yo, what up?
Hey, Sherwin. How's it going?
Oh, it's going, man.
It's been a minute.
Yo, who you got here?
Oh, this is Addie. She's our guest tonight.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
All right.
I'm all right.
All right. I hear you. Yo, what up, man? What you got to ask me?
We got a few questions here, if you don't mind.
All right. I think I can answer some questions. All right.
Okay. This first one comes to us from Case Monster, who says, "Hey Sherwin, should your car paint ever match your house paint?"
I mean, you can do whatever the fuck you want, man. I don't sell car paint, man. I don't give a shit about that. Yeah, fuck all that.
That's fair.
Whatever color lights up your world, or whatever our slogan is. I don't even know anymore, man. I leave that shit, that's to like people that went to college and shit. They be putting out that shit, man. We got a whole app. Yo, you ever seen our app? You can fucking hold that shit up. You can paint your whole room on the phone. That shit's crazy, dog. I ain't even know about that shit. I can't design no fucking app, man. I ain't that good.
No, that's fair.
Come on now. Yeah.
I mean, I have used it. Sometimes I just get bored and I just like kind of pretend to paint my house on the app. It's kind of relaxing.
All right, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can paint a car with that shit though. So we ain't in that business.
No, yeah.
You don't have to ask DuPont about that shit.
Did I say car? I meant house.
Well, I know. I'm just saying. I'm saying for the context of the question. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
All right, feel me.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right. Cool. What else you got?
Next up, we have a question from Dennis75, who says, "Hey Sherwin, how exactly did you start off your career in paint and matching colors? Like, were you in color guard in school? Did you primarily wear blue or red as a youth?"
The fuck you trying to ask me, man? No, I wasn't in no fucking color guard. Come on now. That's like flags and shit. That ain't real. Like, that ain't what does he think you do, man, in a color guard? You ain't guarding colors, motherfucker. Shit don't work that way. Fuck you trying to do? That's weird, man. Did I wear blue or yellow? Of course.
No, blue or red.
Blue or, oh, I see. Okay. Okay. All right. Yo, I mean, I wear whatever color I want, motherfucker.
That fair. Asked and answered.
Yeah. All right. What else you got?
We have one last one. This comes from 60X Self.
Okay.
And they ask, "Dear Sherwin, on an episode of the Stage Select, your friend Justin Ham admitted to learning to drive in a Chrysler Sebring convertible.
All right.
In what vehicle did you learn to drive vehicles?" A lot of use of the word vehicle there.
I mean, that's just, I mean, you could drive a car, that's the whole thing. I learned to drive a car, man. I had a fucking 1986 Lincoln. That shit was good, man. That was a good car, man, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, you get up in there, man. You picking up all the shorties in that. I'll tell you right now. that they can, you know, they can kick back in it. You know, it was a fucking, I painted it lime green, with DuPont paint because, you know, we don't sell that shit. You know,
Right.
I don't sell
Yeah,
that
gotcha.
shit. Right. I ain't in that business. You know, that ain't me. All right.
But was your house lime green at the same time?
You don't need to know what color my house was, motherfucker. You trying to stalk me? Some weird shit, man. I don't
Yeah, well, you know.
It was white.
Okay.
It was pretty dirty though.
No, that's fair. My house is a pigsty.
I mean, what you supposed to do when your house gets dirty, man? Look, you supposed to like clean it? The outside of your house? That's fucking weird, man. Come on now.
No, yeah, that's fair.
Dirty white.
That's
You know what? I'm gonna go. Yo, hey, we joking around. I'm gonna go pitch that color though. I'm gonna be like, yo, what about dirty white though, nigga? Come on now. You know that's a good color. You know people will paint their house dirty white right now. It'll already look dirty. Shit. But then you can be like, yo, but that's just the color. It's just dirty white. It don't get dirty. It don't get any more dirtier. Motherfuckers already dirty. Dirty white. Shit. All right.
okay.
You got anything
You might
else
be
to
onto
ask?
something there.
Yeah.
No, that's actually it, Sherwin.
I have a question.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
Yes,
What
by all
up?
means.
What up?
Do you think that winter peach is the perfect neutral?
Winter peach.
Yeah.
Yo, okay, so that's like, I'm gonna say like peach color, but like more pale, right?
Not really.
Oh.
It's kind of like not exactly a dirty white, but it's more like an off white.
Okay.
But it leans toward a warm kind of rosy color.
All right.
So
All right.
it's almost like a very light pink.
Okay.
But it's got a little bit of an orangey in it, so it's kind
All
of
right. I'm feeling that pink orangey. You know, that's
Yeah.
you said.
But it's mostly white. It's very neutral tone, but
All
it's
right.
just got a little warmth to it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the most neutral color. I mean, we being real. You know, that's like beige. I mean, you ain't gonna offend nobody with no beige. But you know,
That's true.
this sounds like, you know, some like Gen Z ass shit right here. This some Gen Z neutral right here. I'm feeling this. You know, hey, I'm pretty sure we probably got you covered on this color right here. You know, I talk to my paint people. You know, I gotta talk to them anyway about this dirty white. They gotta get on this shit.
Yeah.
So you know, but yeah, no, that sounds all right. You know, we'll sell that shit to the you know, them kids coming up. You know. They I mean, they may never own a house. I don't give a fuck about that. But, you know, whatever. That ain't my problem. You know, that ain't my problem.
Maybe they'll have a tiny home.
Yeah, yo, Sherwin Williams didn't do that shit to y'all. All right. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. Well, y'all got anything else?
No, that's actually it. Not very many questions after all this time. You know,
that's all right, man. That's all right. You know,
sometimes bits just kind of run their natural course, I guess.
That's cool. I mean, you know, I'm still out here slinging this paint, you know, doing this thing, you know, living my life, you know. That's all y'all need to know. Shit.
Yeah. We might try to come up with like something new for you. I don't know.
Well, you know, I ain't doing shit.
We'll have to see. Like,
I ain't doing shit. Like I said, man, we got a whole app now. That shit does itself. I don't even got to be there for that shit. I just sit back and collect the money for that shit, man. It's all good.
You need any backdrops done for the stage?
Yo. Well, I'll holler at you. For sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna take off then. All right.
Thanks.
I gotta go buy a Lincoln and pitch this dirty white man. Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. Peace.
Ask Sherwin Williams.
All right. What did Sherwin say? Anything weird?
It's typical Sherwin shit.
Typical Sherwin. Okay. Well. Yeah. He's in a good mood as of late. I don't know why, but he I don't think he pays attention to what's going on at all. He has an app. He has a whole app, Julian. Like he keeps going on about this app. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing to him. I think he's more amazed by it than anything. It's a whole thing.
Well, yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. We had questions, comments, and concerns. I think we're going to table that for next week. But if you have questions, comments, or concerns, or anything that you would like to submit to questions for Sherwin Williams or The Birthday Robot or Colt Man Gum or anything like that. There's a lot of ways that you can get at us.
Yep.
You can email us. The email address is thestateselectpod@gmail.com. You can DM us on Twitter. Sure, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
At Stage Select Pod. You can comment. Oh, I need to unlock this week's episode on Patreon. I've had stuff on my mind this week.
It happens.
You can comment on our Patreon page, even if you're a free member. You can comment on the YouTube version of the show. Or the easiest way and probably most accessible is to just get on our Discord, and there's channels for all of those things.
Yep.
Also, the Discord is very fun. And,
it is.
Lots of cool people in there. Even Justin has been in the Discord and talking a little bit lately.
I've been enjoying the memes channel because I am awful at memeing and don't know how to do it. So
no, you're actually incredible at it. And again, you're a Gen Z living in a millennial body. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know if that's a compliment after things we've learned recently, but you know what? I'll take it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think when it comes to memes, it's a compliment.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair. Okay. I'll take that then. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Bibu came up with a new brain rot Christmas song recently, and I learned a new Gen Z word, which is munting. And then I looked up what it was, and I was very upset.
Oh, that sounds upsetting. I don't know what it is, but I just don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll leave it to you listeners to go find it yourselves.
I'm not going to look that up at all. I don't want to be upset.
Addie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Addie,
for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
Yeah, feels like we've been podcasting together for a long time. It very nice.
Indeed.
Love it.
Yes. And where can people find you on their internets?
Well, on OnlyFans, I'm Addie XD, and pretty much everywhere else, I'm Addie Mantium. So it's ADDIEMANTIUM.
Yes. And as I said, I will have your socials in the show notes. So go follow Addie on social media for cute bodega cats and the occasional selfie to brighten up your day. And then go join her OnlyFans for different types of selfies that will definitely brighten up your day in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, what about you?
You can find me, I guess, on Twitter. I'm not really getting on there very much anymore. Tyrone_Swift, I guess. I'll respond to things added at me. Twitch.tv/TyroneSwift is where I stream every Saturday, and sometimes when I'm off of work. It'll probably be Sunday this week too, Julian, because I have Monday off because it's a holiday.
Sweet. Okay, yeah, so I'll tune in for that.
Yeah, so we'll see. Unless I get to Sunday and be like, you know what, I just need a fucking day,
sure.
Which could happen. Also, you can watch all the old archives of all the things that I just talk about and see my trouble with vents in person if you want to on YouTube at Tyrone Swift TV. That's it.
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus, but I'm on there way less frequently for a lot of reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely search for me on Blue Sky because I've been on there quite a bit more, and it has become a very cool place to be because people are actively, making it a cool place to be and locking down anybody who tries to be 100% a dick.
There you go.
So yeah, it's a good place. Once again, the show is at State Select Pod. Thanks as always to the incredible Megan McDuffie for our theme song and interstitial tracks. Thanks to friend of the show John Golson for being our announcer and providing us with our logo and artwork. But that is going to do it for this edition of the State Select. I've been Julian Titus. He's been Justin Ham. Very special thanks to Addie. We've been the State Select. Signing off.
Uh-huh.
The Stage Select is copyrighted and owned by Space Monkey Mafia Productions, specializing in independent podcasting. Please consider sharing the show with your friends and support us by joining our Patreon or donating to our coffee. Thank you, and good night.
We haven't gotten a really rare card in a while. But I believe. Okay. Open. Wow. We got Clavenger. Whoa! I mean, we got, whoa. Name was Strike.